So anyway, if you share what you're learning, you will grow. You know, I learned that a long time ago. Just a minute. Okay, so we're just now starting the Zoom YouTube live. We've actually been talking for an hour, but I just had some things, not quite. I'm gonna do a book on it, or a paper, research paper on it, and then I'll make it available to you. But I wanted to share it with the people that just showed up here off record, off YouTube, until I get it fully put together, so that you can clearly see it. And see, I know that, see, the 3 R's of learning, you would think it was reading, writing, arithmetic. Of course, we know that arithmetic isn't an R, but you know. So the 3 R's of learning are receive, retain, release. Okay, that is how you grow. When you receive it and you retain it and then you release it, that is how it really gets established. And we talked about, I shared some things, and then I talked about how you have to be able, as you learn, to let go of things. You may come to conclusions and find that things that you thought, things that maybe at the time you got super excited about and you really thought you could prove and you saw, you may find later as you learn things that those things are not right, that you were not completely right. And of course, if you shared it, then that could become an embarrassment. So I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat, you have to be a person, you have to love the truth. If you want to be a scientist, if you want to know the truth about anything in life, you have to love the truth, because when you don't have the truth, when you believe a lie or something that is incorrect, there are consequences to that. And maybe they don't catch up with you right away, but eventually they will. So there are consequences to not knowing the truth about the horse's foot. There are consequences for the horse. There are consequences for the people that own them. And so in any area, it would be human anatomy, anything like that. And so you, as you study an object, you want to be able to admit when you have made a mistake or drawn a wrong conclusion, because that is part of science. That is part of, that is all a part of the process of finding what the actual truth is. And so here in TACT and with me, I don't ever want to come to the place, and believe you me, I felt like that before, where I would find out that something I was sharing with you that I believed wound up not being the truth. I don't ever want to come to the place where I can't admit that. Okay. And actually, that's how all this got started to begin with. If you go clear back on my YouTube channel, when I first started, let me put on a picture or something while I'm doing this. Oh, well, here you go. Okay. When I first started, way back in 2005, okay, I had a YouTube channel that I just out of the blue, I found YouTube. I thought, oh, well, this is neat. I'll share. I was learning, you know, to trim. I thought I can share this, you know, and then I wound up getting on the internet and learning some ways that weren't good and sharing that. And I trimmed my horse into mechanical laminitis, as did the women that were sharing the trim with me. Okay. Over time, I found this out. And so I thought, oh man, because see, I got a few followers, you know, and I thought, man, I've led these other people into doing this maybe to their horses. And I thought, I just felt like dropping off the planet. Well, I'm just going to shut my YouTube channel down and go away. But I could not do that to someone. If I had done something that had caused somebody else to hurt and harm their horse like I had mine, all right, I had to admit it, I had to warn them. And so instead I did these videos called Trimming from the Top, Beware. Okay, and I admitted what I had done. I admitted how I'd been led in the wrong direction. And instead of people hating me, because see, I was just going to share that and then never make another video, you know. And come to find out, instead of people hating me for it, they're just really thankful that I saw my mistake and I admitted it. See, people have to be willing to admit errors and admit mistakes, because the truth is we all like them much more for it, don't we? So, you know, I want you to be confident that you can make a mistake, that you can admit it, you can see it, and it's okay. See, you just got to come back and rectify it. You have to, you know, fess up to it. Say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm really sorry. Whatever it is, however it works. All right. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a guy today, because I kind of want to talk a little bit about history, the history of the whole subject of hoof care is far and beyond what you can even believe. Okay, like I knew it was really big. Like I've read books like well, and I haven't read the whole book. Okay, I'm not gonna lie and said I read all of George Fleming's 788-page book on horseshoeing and horseshoes, their origin, uses, and abuses. I mean, that is one from 1883 it was published, and that guy was one heck of a scholar, and he did a thorough history, pretty much, of the history of horseshoeing and horseshoes. And so then you have Bracy Clark also, who wrote Hippodonamia, which is the true laws, economy, and something or other of the horse's foot. And I've seen other books, more modern, written by people. I've heard of other books like this guy here, the picture I'm showing, by Philippe Lafosse of France, who was one of the first to really study the anatomy of the horse back in 1750 something.
Is screen share, Linda?
Oh, sorry, I thought I was. Gosh darn. Let's see. Where am I at? Sorry about that. Let's see. Screen share. Oh, there we go. Okay. I thought I had this whole time so you could have something to look at besides a black screen. Sorry about that. So anyway, this guy, Philippe Lafosse, from 1750 something. This I actually found, I found this on an antique site. This book was actually for sale, up for bid, full of photos. It's on I don't know, vellum or something. See, this is a fold out. So this is quite the book. I imagine this is going to go in the thousands, whatever they sell it for. So anyway, this guy was instrumental in the history of what came down to us about the understanding of the anatomy of the foot, and he was completely wrong. Okay. So I'm going to show you some stuff to show you that and prove that and things like that, that other people say. But the guy that I really want to focus on today and is a guy by the name of Henry Hamerling. And he was just admitted into the Farrier's Hall of Fame, International Hall of Fame. He was a prolific writer and a scholar. I mean, this guy, he just wrote some really great things, but he didn't know what we know. And he didn't know that if you continually take the heels down to the base of the frog, you will eventually trim the heel buttress out. You don't know it's happening because as you're doing it and as the foot is being lowered, the heels are being wrapped around the side wall and the heel being wrapped around, and it's becoming false heels. So we're going to go here and we're going to look at an article that Henry Hamerling wrote. If I haven't lost it by now, just a second. Where are you? Just a second. I might have to. Okay, I think I can close that. Okay. Well, where are you? Okay, we got that. Screen sharing has failed to start. Okay, just a second. I guess I'll have to upload it again. Stuff decides to disappear on here. Okay, well, I just uploaded it for the umpteenth time there. Okay, now screen share. So I'm just going to give you a general. We're going to post this article so you can read it. Let's see. Screen share. Okay, there we go. All right. Henry Hemmerling, RJF, CJF, Certified Journeyman Farrier. Anyway, the proper hoof angle. In the past, unproven theories concerning proper hoof angle became popular, even established. Okay, did you get that? In the past, unproven theories. They're unproven and never were proven and are not proven unto this day, but people hold on to them. And you're going to find when I do the full paper on some of the doctrines in what is called barefoot trimming, that some of these same theories got in there. Okay, so in the past, unproven theories concerning proper hoof angle became popular. I could probably make that a little bigger here. Is there a? I guess not. Never mind. Even established. What does that mean?
The plus sign, Linda, at the top, right near where it says 100%. If you hit the plus sign, it'll get larger.
Oh, okay. We'll do that here. Does that make it easier to see?
Yeah.
People?
Yep.
Okay. Now we'll read that again, because you know I like to repeat stuff over and over and over. Okay. In the past, unproven theories concerning proper hoof angle became popular, even established. Our most reliable information to date comes from observations. Okay. What is observation? The most reliable information comes from observation. That's what we do in TACT. We trim and we observe. In fact, we observe before we trim, right? We observe before we trim and we take pictures. We observe while we're trimming and we take pictures, and we observe after we trim and we take pictures. And then at the next trim, we take pictures to observe what happened from the last trim to that trim. That is called, if I pronounce the word right, because you know they're always using these big words, right, to describe what's just common sense to the common man. Empirical. Is somebody correcting me on that? Is that the word?
Empirical.
Empirical?
That's the way I've learned to pronounce.
Okay, empirical. Okay, sounds so fancy. You hear about the scientific method and all that, and they're going, oh, empirical, blah blah blah. Well, it just means but what you can tell by observation. See, evidence-based facts. You see it, you observe it, and so you're using that. Okay, so anyway, that's what, see, this guy, he doesn't use all the big words. That's why I like that. You know, he could have said from empirical blah, blah, blah. Okay, but he didn't, from observation. But where do our beliefs on what is proper hoof angle come from? See, now, earlier in our hour that we talked before this, I was talking about how I learned to study from the standpoint of, if somebody tells me something, okay, in a book, wherever, I want to know, how did he come to that conclusion? Where did he get his ideas from? And then I'll know how much water they actually hold. And I'll be able to understand. Why do I want to know that? Because I want to understand the thing. See? So, like he says here, how could 45 degrees ever have been accepted as proper? What determines proper hoof angle? What, if anything, do we really know about hoof angles? He says there have been many observation and theories on hoof angles, but the very little experimental work has been done regarding them. Okay, and see, this is what I've seen. Who else but me has ever, I don't know if you studied anything about fairy or read articles or whatever, but they're always talking about angles. Bone angle, shoulder angle, hairline angle, dorsal wall angle, angle. I think they got an angle. But anyway, there have been many observations and theories on hoof angles, but very little experimental work has been done regarding them. Do you know that most people wouldn't even know that, because the farrier comes in, or whoever comes in, or the expert or the academic, and they say, well, due to this, the angle should be such and such. And we just take it and go, oh, okay. You know, people that know that you can't just trim a horse to any old angle you want. Okay, it winds up crippling a lot of horses. But anyway, so he gives the name of some people there, and he says much research remains to be done. The means to accurately assess the effects of hoof angle are now available, meaning people developed hoof gauges to tell what angle is. I'll tell you who else developed a hoof gauge. Okay, does anybody here have a hoof gauge? Nobody? Well, anyway, I have one. I have one you put on the foot, and it's metal. It looks like a horseshoe, and it tells you the gauge, the angle of the dorsal wall. Jamie Jackson developed one. Also, it's a little, I'll show you here this minute. Let me find it. Pictures. Hoof angles. Okay. Okay, just a second here. New share. Right here. Anybody ever seen one of these? This was developed by, this is called the hoof meter reader, okay? But it was developed to determine the angle of the dorsal wall by Jamie Jackson. Okay, so, and you see down here, see the angle? This is what they're talking about, what they want. So anyway, let me close that out and get another one. Okay, it says the earliest recorded advice on hoof angles comes from Simon of Athens in 430 BC. See, who would think that people have been writing about horses' feet that far back, right? And Xenophon, am I pronouncing that name right?
Probably Xenophon.
Xenophon?
Xenophon.
Like xenophobe?
Yeah, kind of.
I still don't know what that means. Okay.
Like xylophone.
Xylophone?
Well, it's like xylophone, so
It's xenophone.
the X is pronounced like
Xenophone? Okay.
It's xenophone.
Xenophone. Okay.
Yeah.
Xenophone. Okay. 380 BC. Each insisted that there should be no contact between the frog and the firm ground. How about that? And do you know that Alexander took over the whole then known world, conquered it all on barefoot horses? How about that? And he wrote in his memoirs, okay, his journal, whatever it was, that the only time they had to stop was for a couple weeks to let the horse's feet grow. All right. So just a second here. All right. So Morgan's translation, some guy that lived in 1893, of Xenophon says, In buying a horse, the first thing you ought to look at are his feet. Yeah, no foot, no horse, right? High ones, heels, keep what is called the frog well off the ground, while horses with low hooves walk with the hardest and softest part of the foot at once, like knock-kneed men. Simon says that their hollow ringing sound is proof of good feet, and he is right. There is no change in this attitude for the next 2,000 years. So for 2,000 years, okay, from 430 BC until around 500, oh, well, yeah, and I'm pretty good guessing there, all right? Okay, well, or he says until the middle of the 18th century, all the well-known writers recommended high hoof angles, meaning decent heels on the feet. Now, what you're going to find is interesting is that in barefoot trimming with among the barefooters, okay, and again, to explain what barefoot trimming is, barefoot trimming has become the name of a certain method of trimming. Barefoot trimming is not just trimming so that your horse can go barefoot. We absolutely believe that your horse can go barefoot without shoes. Wild horses do. And there are some domestic horses that do without boots. Okay, but when we talk about barefoot trimming or natural hoof care, that is a specific method developed by two people, Jamie Jackson, Hildred Strasser, all can be traced back to them too. I don't care if it's equine podiatry or the 4-point trim or any of it. Okay, no matter what, the F trim, what's some other names, some name brand trims. Okay, now TACT, okay, originally I did these trims, all right, but then I sorted off and I went back not even knowing that for 2,000 years previous to that, they grew heels. They had the heels on horses. I found this out by accident. Then later I started learning this history, see? So until the middle of the 18th century, all well-known writers recommended a high hoof angle. In 1556, do you know that that is around the same time the printing press was invented? Isn't that interesting? That, hey, 2000, now this means something here, okay? Okay, this is like the first stab at social media is the printing press, the ability to print a book. Okay, I just realized that. See now, okay, I have not read this full article. I'm going to tell you where I got this article from. Just a minute, I'll show you a picture. Just a second here. I had this picture around, a collage that I made, and it kept flashing by my head time and time again till I finally glommed onto it and I looked up this Henry Hammerling guy. So let's see where, oh, I have it under the file of bad farriery. Okay, let's see. Not because Henry Hammerling was necessarily bad farrier, but because of the collage that I put together. Just a minute here. Bad barefoot. Bad farrier. There we go. Okay. I found it. Now this is just a collage I put together, and I found an article in American Farriers Journal. And like I said, I couldn't read the whole article, but it gave me some clues about something. Let's see. New share. Okay, here we go. Now the reason that I found this article was because I was researching about heels and stuff like that. And so, but I could only get part of the article. And so in this, it talks about, it's talking to farriers about angles, the angles of feet. and stuff like that. And obviously all the different beliefs, like right here, he says, your angles, somebody's going to tell you your angles are too steep. Several years later, you'll attend another clinic, a different clinician who is also well respected, makes a compelling argument for why horses need more heel. The clinician speaks to the problems of too low an angle. The confusion persists the rest of your career. So I didn't put in what was here before, but obviously the clinician they were talking about before insisted on a low heel, right? So then they go into a well-heeled history, a well-written article by Marilyn Ferrier, Henry Hammerling, that's who we're just reading, titled The Proper Hoof Angle, gives a detailed history of the hoof angle theory. I will take the liberty of paraphrasing some of his excellent research. This is what just the other day, I then sought out Henry Hammerling and found out he had all this research, this wonderful book. I'll show you. It says, for nearly 2,000 years, it was held that the high-heeled foot was the ideal. It was believed that the frog should not come into contact with hard ground. In 1754, Etienne Guillaume Lafosse declared that the hoof should be at a low angle with the frog fully engaged, despite, get this, many complaints of lame horses. See, so this has been a debate. Now, what I found interesting, and it didn't even dawn at me at the time I was reading this, because remember, I told you I studied history, right? I studied the Bible, I studied the Reformation, I've studied the history of politics and religion and just about everything else. And so I always wanted to know, how did people come to their conclusions? They want me to believe this. Well, how did they arrive at that conclusion? So let me go back to him. So that's how I found this other article. Oh, now I'm lost. New share right here. Okay. So now I just realized while I'm reading this, wow, that's when around the same time the printing press was invented, I think. Let's go see just a minute. When was the printing press invented in Europe? Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. It was 100 years before that. I thought okay, I'm thinking 15th century. All right. 15th century. And so I always get confused on that. The 1500s is the 16th century. The 1400s is the 15th century. So, okay, the printing press was invented 100 years before that. So by the time Lafosse came around, you could get a book printed by that time. So that was their form of social media, and books were very expensive, and anybody that could afford to have a book printed, just a minute, just a second here. Now I've lost that page again. What in the heck? Okay, there we go. Okay, so anybody could afford to have a book printed. That was like, well, some of the first books printed were Bibles, and you know how they felt about them, right? Okay, so if you could have a book printed, it was almost like the word of the Lord, you know? So if you printed a book and you wrote something that wasn't correct in it, well, guess what it became? It became the God's truth, see? Because it's in a book, because books were amazing things. Like, don't believe everything you read in a book, right? Don't believe everything you read where? On the internet either. You have to be discerning. So anyway, so Lafosse, being an anatomist, all this stuff, so he wrote this in a book and it became the law, that heels should be low. But it wasn't before that. Before, they had high heels, not high, but correct heels on horses, so that horses had the correct frog and the correct hoof form. It was in trimming down the heels that feet started contracting and getting distorted and deformed, and horses started tripping, and horses lived shorter lifetimes and things like that. So it says, where was I here? Okay. In 1556, a second, let's enlarge this. In 1556, Blunderville recommends when trimming to remove more material from the toe than the heel. The heels are to be left strong. Okay. And okay, so still in the 1500s, they were still leaving the heels. Okay. Clifford says in 1585, Clifford says to pare the foot as little as possible at the heels, but to pare it well at the toes. Now, is that just the exact opposite to barefoot trimming? That's really interesting. See, we had, when we worked on ranches, me and Neil, we had a farrier in Merced, California, and his name was Bob Johnson. Man, that guy, he shod mules up at Yosemite, and he was an excellent farrier, made all his own shoes. And that's what he did. I remember distinctly watching him do that and him telling me that. You always take more toe than you do heel. See? Okay, so where are we at here? Okay, in 1585, Clifford says to pare the foot as little as possible at the heels, but to pare it well at the toes. In 1664, Solicel urges, you see how all these people writing about the foot. Now, what I'm going to show you here in a little bit is that in his book, he makes a list. Like, this is just an article paper he wrote. In his book, he makes a list of every writer on the foot since writings could be found. And there are thousands. Okay. Well, I don't know about thousands, but there's hundreds, I would imagine. All right. Okay. In 1664, Solicel urges that the heels of the forefeet are not to be cut away, but left strong. Give some more people. Smith, 1776, Bridges, 1752. Although he said the horse with low heels is scarce fit for anything but the plow, may have been the first to say that hooves could also be too upright. Those feet whereupon the hoof is upright and strong, and the frog small will not, so contracted feet, right, will not endure traveling with expedition on hard stony grounds. The turf and parade suit them best. In other words, soft ground and, maybe a little riding in a parade, and that's it. So then he says, accepted angles change from high to low, introducing frog pressure and expansion. Now, what is interesting is if you go and read Bracy Clark, he was all over this whole frog pressure thing being wrong. And that was in the 1890s through, whenever he died, 1867. Okay, and LaFosse had introduced the whole frog pressure thing in the 1700s. And what's interesting is that if you do any reading about barefoot trimming and what they all believe and everything like that, they're always talking about Bracy Clark. How Bracy Clark was one of the first people to think that feet should be natural and he was against shoes. That's not true. He was not against shoes. He invented his own shoe. And he was totally against frog pressure and mentions it over and over and over and over again. Why didn't they notice that? See? Because what you have here is you have a science and a form of trimming that is not based on science, on true science, but on people's beliefs on one dead wild horse that wore its heels out, and even worse than that. So frog pressure, as you can see, was a new doctrine that arose in 1754. Okay, but not everybody has has glommed onto that until the barefoot movement brought it back into vogue. So he says, then something strange happened. Lafosse, 1754, broke with more than 2,000 years of tradition and experience by recommending a low hoof angle, half moon shoes, also called tip shoes, and frog pressure. Okay, now half moon shoes means that they just cover the front half of the foot to the mid of the quarter, but they leave the back open. You know why? Because they couldn't cut the heels low enough with a shoe on it to still have frog pressure. So I'm going to show you what farriers are doing today that believe this doctrine. Just a second here. We'll get a picture. See, because when a farrier believes this doctrine, it's one thing for a barefooter to trim down the heels and force frog pressure. It's a whole other thing for a farrier because you got the width of the shoe, right? How can you have frog pressure when you got that thickness of shoe? So I'll show you what they're doing. Just a minute here. Okay, well, no, I got quite a few pictures on it actually. You wouldn't think you could do this except for the fact. Okay, so here's a real foot. Okay, and you can see that this was my mare. You can see she's got heel. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Mhm.
Got to okay, there we go. Here's my mare. And here you can see this hoof capsule off. You can see she's got heel. Okay, here's her frog corium. Everything in bulbs. Here's a foot I found online one day, and they thought that this was from overreaching. In reality, what you're seeing here is this part of the foot here is crushed and pushed up into the foot. So they think this is heel, and they think this is frog, when this is actually frog corium, has no frog really on it at all. The bulb skin right here, this foot is so compressed and so bound in to this tiny hoof capsule they've developed with no frog at all, that it's starting to burst out of the periopal due to the inflammation on both sides. But they don't see it. This is a farrier, okay? Because this horse was shod. You see how if you put a shoe on that, right? You're going to have what you think is frog pressure, but there's actually no frog there. This is a prolapse, pulled down frog corium that's just barely covered with some cornified skin, probably. Okay, so Lafosse invents a shoe to where you don't have to do that. It only covers part of the foot. That way you can still lower the heels to have frog contact. Okay, this is Maggie McNamara. She's in TACT. Okay, she says, hi all, I'm finally getting somewhere with my 20-year-old warm blood's hind feet. This is his left hind, which has side bone pre-TACT. I never took photos, but that top left photo right here was taken at the last appointment before firing my long-term farrier. Why was her long-term farrier doing this? Because he'd been taught by academia via barefoot trimming, via Dr. Boker, via into farriery, that you're going to build up the digital cushion if you force frog pressure. That's what they teach, right? So they're going to trim down the foot, try to get a shoe on there. So they're trimming the heels lower than a barefooter would, lower than I ever would. And I trimmed mine low. Okay. So there was none left. So, okay. So she says, yeah, top right here. is after firing my longtime farrier after his last trim. Now, the thing about it is he probably did not always trim that way. At one time, he probably left heel. But then he went to a farrier conference where Dr. Boker taught, because Dr. Boker was the go-between between the barefoot movement, trimming out all the heels, and academia, and then into farriery. And just by chance, okay, American Farrier Journal has all kinds of articles from him. So he was able to reintroduce this horrible doctrine of frog pressure into farriery, because before that, the farriers and the barefooters were enemies. But he was like, you know, kind of like, what would you call it? Well, like a go-between. You know, they'll take the same stuff from him because he teaches at a college. Okay, but he hung out with barefooters, and that's where he got his information. Plus, I'm sure he read about Lafosse, and plus you see that this has been a doctrine that's been around even before the barefooters, right? Okay, so then she says, okay, top right here is after acquiring a barefoot trimmer who just beveled around the foot level to the sole with the belief that it would all grow in correctly from that point. After she fired me, well, see, you reap what you sow. After she fired me from asking too many questions, we get to the bottom left photo when when she started trimming. So she starts trimming here in November 2020, and this is in November 22. So I just want you to look at that. Okay, this is what trimming the heels out does. Okay, so that is why Lafosse invented the half moon shoe. Where am I at now? Okay, okay, so by recommending a low hoof angle half moon shoes, also called tip shoes, and frog pressure, Lafosse said, shoe him after my method because it will oblige him to press upon the frog, which is the natural point of support for the flexor tendon. Okay, that was in 1759. It was as wrong in theory as it was in practice. So this is awesome that Henry Hemmerling, again, great guy, he saw that this was not correct. Okay, but as I said, because he didn't know that if you constantly take the heels back to the base of frog, it can eventually trim the heels out. And on some horses it doesn't, because they'll maintain a thick frog. You know, it's just kind of, it's arbitrary, like hair growth. All right, so and that's why they don't know that it's a problem, because it doesn't show up real severe on all horses. Okay, Lafosse's low angle and frog pressure theory met with some acceptance and some resistance. The Master Farriers of Paris published a refutation of shoeing with short shoes and at a low angle. Ossamer notes that when he tried Lafosse's methods on his own hunting horse, the horse became lame in both front legs the first time he rode him. How many people have had issues with barefoot trims?
Oh, yeah.
Lots.
Well, yeah, I have
Yeah.
issues with that.
Yeah, lots. And sometimes you may not see the lameness, but it's coming in. Nonetheless, Ossamer also advocated a low hoof angle, frog pressure, and short shoes, just not quite so low and short. And Lafosse's method spread. In 1791, Sandbell, the first head of the London Veterinary College, followed Lafosse's thinking. Now he was the head of that college for 3 years and then he died. Smith notes John Lawrence tells us Sanebell lamed many horses by lowering the heels too suddenly and committed other errors in shoeing. Okay. Edward Coleman, he was the next. When Sanebell died, Professor Edward Coleman, the nemesis of Bracy Clark, constantly demeaned, talked down, backstabbed, and slandered Bracy Clark's research. And he was the head of the school of the Royal Veterinary College, and he wrote a book on horseshoeing, and he was constantly patenting shoes. Why do people patent stuff? Can somebody tell me? Why do you want to? What?
To make money.
Right. You don't want somebody copied it. You want to.
Exactly.
You want to. Yeah, invention. You make money off it. That's right.
Yep.
Now, what's interesting is Bracy Clark invented a shoe too. And he refused to patent it because he wanted anyone to be able to make it and use it. Which goes to show you the difference in men. So Edward Coleman was the head. Now remember, does anybody here use a veterinarian?
Yes.
Okay. Most people got to use one at one time or two, right? Okay. So everything your veterinarian knows about the feet come through this guy who was not a good man. Okay. And he had, in fact, yeah, if you read about him, no, he wrote a book and that has become the standard that is carried down for 200 years. Okay. You think they're all up on the latest? Nope, they aren't, because once it gets written in the halls of academia like that, written in stone, folks, it's the God's truth. How many of us have seen where these doctors and people in some of these higher professions, they kind of think they're God, don't they? Like they can't be wrong. How dare you question them? By God, I went to school and I have a degree. Okay. So Edward Coleman, who is the head of the London Veterinary College from, get this, 1974 to 1839. Hold on here a second. Yeah, Humana again. Okay. From 1794 to 1839. How long is that? Let's see, 94, 2004, 2014, 2024, 2034. What is that? 40 years? 40 some years? Cripes. That's a long time for one man to get established in a school, don't you think? So he was the head of the London Veterinary College. And get this, you know who he was appointed by? The same king. This was during the Revolutionary War. Ha. Okay, well, right after it. Let's put it that way. This was after the Revolutionary War. But the king that appointed him to be the head of the college was the same king that we fought against in the Revolutionary War. Isn't that interesting? I just added that, no charge. Okay. So he was there for a long time, but had no experience with horses or horseshoeing. So what did he do? He followed Sanebell both in the position and in his theories. So, boy, that pretty much wrote it in stone, don't you think? Coleman preached frog pressure and low hoof angle. Bracy Clark, 1809, even though, well, but see, I don't think he's right about Bracy Clark. That's the only thing, because he does not talk, because I know that Bracy Clark did not prefer the frog to make contact with the ground. So I don't know why he's saying this, because I can take you to Bracy Clark's books and show you how over and over and over again he preached against it. Okay, so this is why I say, how do men come to their conclusions? What is he right about here? What is he wrong about here? See, I know he's right about all these other guys, because before he ever wrote it, I already researched it out in history and found it out. Okay, so I was surprised to see him writing about it. But then, yeah, I did read this much, because then when I came to what he said about Bracy Clark, I was like, now, wait a minute. That is not what Bracy Clark believed, but oh well. So anyway, he says Bracy Clark in 1809, even though he had read whatever his name was, Xenophon, and many other. Now, let me tell you who this guy was. He was Alexander the Great's general. Okay, so do you think he might have known something about war horses and their feet? Yeah. Even though he'd read Xenophon and many other historical texts in favor of a higher hoof angle and no frog pressure, even though he despised Coleman, okay, well, there was a reason for him despising Coleman, all right, still preferred the frog to make contact with the ground, and therefore a low angle, with the two most influential writers on farriery at the time, Coleman and Clark, promoting low angles and frog pressure. The ideas became firmly established. Okay, so I'm going to stop reading that there. But the point is, so we'll post a link to this so you can read it. Okay, the point is that these ideas are firmly entrenched in the farrier's head, in the vet's heads. See, so that when they're looking at feet, a lot of times they're not seeing what's really there, because there have been so many bad teachings on anatomy. That's what they got in the schools that they went to. That's why what we're doing here is a completely whole new deal, and looking at and trying to figure out what is the true foot of the horse. And we can, through photos and dissections. Of course, here's the thing. When the heels are trimmed out of a foot, it changes the shape of the inner foot, because it pulls it into that shape. And so when you first take a hoof capsule off, you would look at that foot. You might think it was the true foot, but it's not, because it's been deformed. See? Okay, so anyway, I want to show you something here. If I can find it. Hold on. And then, I see it's important to learn the history of how did our horses become lame to begin with, and why. What do these people believe? And why did they believe it? They all talk about this stuff too. They quote Xenophon, they quote Bracy Clark, okay, but they never tell you that these people were against frog pressure. See, and again, I don't know why he said, okay, here, I understand. So Bracy Clark also was a victim of these same teachings on hoof angle. Okay, so he's fighting hoof angle versus frog pressure. He absolutely did not believe in frog pressure, but he still had the whole hoof angle thing in his head. See, it's all about, the bones in the foot, or the bones in the shoulder, or the angle of the coffin bone. And so it is this focus. Just a second. It is this focus on the angles of the bones. The angles, like, so you see the title of this, the proper hoof angle. See, this is also something that was drilled into Henry Hemmering's head. It was drilled into Bracy Clark's head. Okay, the angle. Okay, you have to get rid of that angle. And what angle are they talking about? They're talking about the axis, the angle from the ground up the dorsal wall. That's the angle. They have been focusing on that for centuries. And the angle and combining it with the angle of the bones. And so they cannot see, since they only look at the bone and they look at the angle of the dorsal wall, they don't look at the back of the foot. They can't see it. They cannot see the forest for the trees. So perfectly well-meaning men, all right, like Henry Hammerling here, great scholar, everything else, Bracy Clark. See, as I was reading this, see, this you talk about, you learn while you read. I'm not kidding you. You learn while you share. I'm like, no, Bracy Clark, wasn't it? No, he's wrong. He's wrong. No, he's actually right. Because what happened was Bracy Clark is indoctrinated with this whole angle thing. So at the same time, he's seeing that this whole frog pressure thing ain't working either. And so he's trying to find a happy medium between the two. That's kind of what happened to him. See, this is something you got to do. You got to get rid of this whole thing, proper hoof angle. Get rid of it. You know, bone angle, bony column angle, shoulder angle, and look at the whole foot. Look at the whole foot. Look at the back of the foot. You see, they do not look at the back of the foot at all, you know? And so anyway, I'm going to show you something else here. We're going to look at something. Just a second. I got a picture I got to draw up here. See, when you look at all of Jesse Jackson, he's got an angle too. But anyway, Jamie Jackson. Okay, when you look at all of his teachings and his books, he's constantly marking the angle of the toe. He even made an angle meter reader. He calls it a hoof meter reader, but it's measuring the angles of the toes. See, it's all about angles. And that's why they don't think that the heel has anything to do with anything, except it's all about the angle of the bones. Anyway, more about that at another time. So I'm going to show you some anatomy here. Just a second here. Go back up. Let's see. Inner foot. There we go. Okay. Okay, we'll just open this. Okay, so here is the horse's whole foot. This is something that nobody realizes, that this whole thing is the horse's foot. Usually they see this here. That's the horse's foot. That's all they're seeing. You know, they don't realize that this whole thing, because when you do a dissection and you remove the short pastern bone, this part, the short pastern bone that's inserted down here, you have this whole area and it is all the foot. When you remove everything but the bone, that's how much is gone. So at least 1/3 of the foot is soft cartilage and fat. And that is the whole foot. The only solid part of the foot is this here. But you know what they look at? This. This is all they look at. This and the bones going up, the short pastern bone, the long pastern bone. And then, you know, when that all wasn't working out, they started looking at the shoulder and saying, well, if the shoulder is like this, then the hairline should be like that. Or if the pastern is like this, then the dorsal wall should be like this. And so it's all about the angle of the bones to them, and they cannot see the back of the foot. And so they do not realize that, like this foot here, because it's all soft cartilage and fat, and it is wholly supported by the heel buttress and the frog stay and the angle of the, well, not the angle. Oh, there I go. What word can I use? Not angle. It is supported by this part of the foot. Okay. And that this part of the foot is supporting and keeping this part of the foot up in the air where it belongs, up off the ground, not the bulbs on the ground. Remember how we were reading? They were talking about that. How horses whose bulbs are on the ground are like cripples among men, as Bracy Clark put it. And so good war horses, their heels were high up off the ground, meaning they had high heel like this, and it kept their sensitive bulbs and cartilage up here. Well, if you look at this foot, you notice that it kind of turns down like that. That's because as soon as you take these feet out of the capsule, the back falls down. Why is that? Because it's supposed to have all of its support and stability comes from the capsule. Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Okay, now can you see how the back of this foot, being 2/3 of it cartilage and fat, how it could be deformed if it didn't have the proper and correct growth and support of the heels?
Mhm.
See? So that's why we're in the state that we're in today. Now up here, I have 2 examples of 2 feet that have had the heels. Now, this would be what he called a very upright foot with very contracted heels. You can see why a horse might go lame after living on something like that for so long, when he's supposed to have great support for the back of the foot. See, because this can all be compressed to this size. It can be compressed all the way up to the wing of the coffin bone right here. So Henry Hammerling, he has a bunch of really great writings, and he wrote a book, and I'm going to show you something here. Just a second. If I can find it. Pictures. Now, well, just a minute. I just got to remember where I put it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, I haven't got his book yet, but I did find it online, and I took a snapshot of an inner picture of the paper. And just a minute here. One of the things that he compiled was a list of every author that has ever written anything about the horse's foot. Okay, and so this is a partial picture of one of the pages. See, chapter 1, authors. What he does is he writes a concise history of people who have written about the foot. Okay, and so here, this is just getting into the A's. And so, I mean, he's going to go clear to Z, right? And so he starts here with this guy, which is 1984. It's not by date, it's by name. And you see some of the 1815, 1916, let's see here, 1737, 1673, Robert Almond, 1918, 1961, another guy. And he gets down here and he gets to, now some of you probably heard this before in our hour we were talking before I went live on YouTube. But anyway, anonymous. Look at all the writers. He doesn't even have the names for and the dates. And then, you know, getting down here. Anyway, goes clear to Z. So how prolific is the writing on the foot? You would think, like, I knew that they had written some, but I had no idea they'd written this much. And so, you know, but you can kind of understand it's the war machine, you know, and horses were the everything. They were a matter of survival. They were a matter of not getting overrun by your enemies, of having a strong military. See? So we can understand why they would have done that. Now, I think it's Hammering too that gives a history of the word farrier. And I can't remember. I know I said this in the hour before, but I'll say it here now. The word farrier comes from a French word that means marshal. Just a second. Okay, had to take a little break and cough. And that was the highest rank in the military. They were so well respected because the farriers were also the veterinarians before the veterinarian schools opened. And so then after the veterinarian schools opened, then the veterinarians were in competition with the farriers. See, so it took the vets a while to get established. But in truth, there's just this mixture marriage between the two due to all this history, all this writing, and we still come today and they still have no answers. And why is that? Because of the writings of these men, some we just sampled, okay, way back when and heard about back from the 1750s on, because remember he said up for 2,000 years, people believed you should have heels on horses. You take less heel and more toe. But then because of Lafosse, all that started changing. And then you have a guy that was the head of the veterinary school for what, 40 years? And he firmly established it in their thinking. And so they have never gone back. All this, right? How could all these men be wrong? And I'm sure not all of them were. I'm sure some of them tried to reintroduce heels. Okay. Obviously, it stuck somewhere because my farrier in California was that way. That's what he said. You know, leave heel, take toe. When barefoot, it's take heel, leave toe, right? Unless your toe starts shooting out and then it's rock or toe back. So all these people, how could they just be wrong? How could they keep being wrong for centuries? Because the foundation was wrong. If the foundation of the subject you are studying is incorrect, if you've got false doctrine, see, did you know that's what they call their teachings? Did you know that what they write and what they believe is called doctrine? And I bet when I say the word doctrine that you think, oh, religion. No, you go into law, they talk about legal doctrine. You go into medicine, they talk about medical doctrine. Doctrine is just a word that means teaching. And when you teach someone, it is considered to be truth. See? So these teachings get established in these professions like this, and then it's like written in stone and hard to get rid of. Well, if that's your foundation and that's the premise, if you are starting from a false premise to begin with, then anything you build on it is going to be subject to error. Okay, is that understood? Who understands that here?
Got it.
Antoinette, you understand that? Are you there? Brandy. How about you? Do you understand that kind of? Is anybody going to talk to me?
I got it.
No,
Got
I
it.
got it also. Sorry, I just got stuck. I'm on computer and I was trying to press mute with my fingers, thinking it's a mob.
Okay. Okay. So what happened to me was when I started seeing that they were wrong about fundamental issues of anatomy, okay, then I had to unlearn stuff. And see, that's what they need to do. They need to unlearn these errors they've been seeped in for centuries. Now, I'll show you what was the first error I learned? Well, the first one I believe was that you should not rest. I looked at that hoof wall, how thin it was, and I thought, man, you got a 1,200 pound horse in that shell and you're rasping down the outside of that hoof wall and making it weaker. That don't make sense to me. You know, I could observe by common sense and think that way, but I didn't know all the details, like, well, the middle, as you rasp down the outer hoof wall, it gets softer as you go in. So you're rasping down the dressing down to make it look like it doesn't have a flare. You're rasping down that hoof wall and it's getting to the softer inner layers, and you got a 1,200 pound horse pushing out on that capsule, right? Didn't seem to make sense to me. So I followed my sense instead of their doctrine. Okay, but most of them, I guarantee you, because they learned it from a school, they never stopped to think about it. You know, never stopped to think about it. Okay, so the first major foundational thing that I learned that they were wrong about was the anatomy of the soul. How important do you think it is to understand the true anatomy of the soul? And that if you don't, if your decisions on what a horse's foot should look like, on how to trim it and shoe it so that it stays healthy and correct, is based on error, on an incorrect understanding of what it really is, how are you going to be able to formulate a correct plan to make sure that that horse's foot stays sound? You can't. Okay, all you can do is when they finally go unsound is blame it on something else, and that is exactly what has been going on. So we're just going to revisit this just a second here. Revisit this whole thing about the anatomy of the soul. Gotta close that. I don't know if I want to do bad anatomy or, yeah, okay. Got these different files: bad anatomy, bad barefoot, bad farrier, bad dog. No bad dogs. Let's see here. Do 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 do. Just a second. I wish I could get to pictures faster. Let's see. I keep zipping by it. Okay. New share. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that I came to understand, kind of almost by accident, was that what they were teaching about the anatomy of the soul was incorrect. And so what I learned was they were and so here's the thing though, if you are wrong about one thing and you use that as your foundation, your springboard to understand everything else, then you will make one error after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. And that's what you find going on when it comes to the veterinarians understanding the foot of the horse and the farriers. That it started out with one man's error, and it just contributed and continued and built till you had this stronghold of incorrectness. And it's so incorrect that they can't even take a real horse's foot and use it in their books as an example, because it will prove that they are wrong. That's how bad it is. So I need to get a better picture of this, but because see, this is a collage I made to show my point. So I had under here, and I have a series of videos called Understanding the True Soul or something like that, where I talk about all this. And so I say under here, understand the true shape and form of the soul, concentric, convex, and concave. What do they teach? What do they teach in barefoot trimming and in farrier is the shape of the soul? Who can tell me?
Concave.
Right, only, right?
Yep.
Okay, so because it grows from the inner foot, then it has to grow, we would have to see it on the inner foot that way. And so as I kept looking at feet, I noticed this rim around the edge, and I realized that it was growing, that the sole was growing, it was lipping up over the edge of the foot here. Well, how can that be concave? It isn't. What it does is it grows a convex sole ridge right here. Convex sole ridge. And then when it gets under here, it gets concave under here. But around the perimeter, it's convex. And it goes around the whole perimeter of the foot. And so then so that was cool. I thought that was great. But then when I started looking at books, modern books, instead of having a foot, I mean, if I can have a foot, see, and it wasn't just me, all right? Like this is my dissection where I saw it, okay? But look here, okay? This is Pete Ramey. He's got a wild horse hoof, and he believes in concavity. He's a farrier. He's been indoctrinated with all this stuff. Okay, so this is his wild horse's foot, and what he's doing here with his fingers, he's pulling down the sole, because there's other pictures where you see the sole right here, right up here. So he's pulling down the sole right there, so you can see all the lamina and the sole corium, but he's not seeing what's there, because what he's seeing there is this convex sole ridge here. Well, he's not seeing it, but he's showing it. He don't know he's showing it because he sees the foot like this. See how there's no convex ridge? How the lamina goes all the way to the very, very, very end? So then if that were true, then yes, the sole would only be concave. You would not have a convex sole ridge there like you do up here. Like I do now every time I trim, I see it. And so you can see it here on this foot, that's sole corium lipping up around the edge. The lamina starts here and goes only to there. And then on the outer perimeter here, that's sole corium. And so it grows a convex ridge of sole. And then again, it only gets See this, like this, under there, convex ridge of sole. It only gets concave when it goes here, and then it goes like that. And then what happens is you can have a big convex ridge of sole, and it can be a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick, wide in here. And then this, what I call the bowl of the sole, where it does get concave, that can even fill up with sole. And then the whole thing doesn't even look concave or convex. It just looks kind of flat, but it's filled up with like 1 inch of sole all over the place. And that's a tough-footed horse there. And so because they teach that the foot is only concave, all right, then they can't put a picture in their books of a foot like this because it just doesn't agree with what they have been taught and believed all their life. And I'm not saying, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. I don't know what's going on there. You know, maybe they just think they're doing the right thing. They don't want, oh, well, I bet you I know what it is. Well, they don't want people to get the wrong idea. See, you know, can't find a foot that really depicts what they've believed all their life. But now they don't want us morons, us peons, to be getting the wrong idea, you know. So they're going to draw a foot rather than show a picture of a foot. And what all's wrong with these feet is more than just that, more than just the fact that you don't see the sole corium that lips up over the edge. Now this is like the Farrier Bible here. Adam and Stashik's lameness in horses. Okay. And this over here, well, you know, same thing. The Veterinarian's Bible. It's the Merrick Vet Manual. Okay, Merrick Vet Manual. So both of these feet are deformed. The drawing is deformed because they were looking at feet that they had deformed from the way they trim and shoe. And so they draw this all the way down to the end when, look, already showed you, look at the lamina. Look at the lamina, starts right here on the upper outer edge. This, or not the lamina, the sole corium. The lamina starts here, goes right to their ends, and the sole corium starts. And it grows a convex, form-fitted ridge of sole around the perimeter of this foot, which they always trim out to make the foot look concave, which weakens the whole connection. And so you see it here on every single foot. Okay, so they have to draw a foot. Now, not only, here, I'm going to annotate. Not only is that wrong, but this here too. You see how this just goes like this? Let me undo it. Wait a minute. Undo. I need bigger. Okay, here we go. Here's the coronary band right here. Okay, they have it just kind of going like this. Okay, that's not the way it goes. What happens is the coronary band here has been wrapped around the back of the foot. The heel buttress, the part that grows the heel buttress on their example here, has been wrapped around the foot. So what is that telling us? That tells us they don't even really know or understand what a heel buttress is. And this is on both feet. Okay, both feet have, remember I told you, I said, if you trim the capsule wrong, it pulls the foot that is cartilage and fat into the distortion and deforms it. So then you're doing a dissection. You don't know the truth anyway. You take a hoof capsule off, you look at the foot, you think that's the way the foot's supposed to be when it's not. And so you get deceived by the deformed foot. And so this, the back of the coronary band that grows the true heel buttress, has been wrapped around the back of the foot here. because the way this is really supposed to go is like this. Let me undo that. Okay, here's the coronary band. Instead of wrapping around the back of the foot, it would continue on at least that much. And even more. Wait a minute. Clear. Yeah. We'll come out like this. Maybe that might be too much, but okay. So then your heel grows from here. That's your heel buttress. See, the heel buttresses were trimmed out of this horse, and then it made false heels, and the coronary band here was wrapped around the back of the foot. So now look at this other foot. Just a minute. Clear. In the Merrick Vet Manual. Okay, this one right here. Okay, where's the heel buttress corium? It's been wrapped. Not only that, but look at the heel, how it's been shoved up like this. Oh, wrong color. Wait a minute. Clear. Oh, let's get a better color here. Let's do blue. Okay, look at how the heel has been shoved up like this. Okay, and so here we go. There's no heel buttress corium. You got the coronary band, okay, but then where it's supposed to extend out like this, and then the heel buttress is supposed to grow from under here and be connected to the heel. You don't have that. This foot has no heel buttress.
Linda.
So, yeah.
Sorry, Mrs. Allen, I just wanted to ask, but this is just a drawing.
Yeah.
But this drawing is not correct because
right.
Like it's not even worth talking about it in a sense, because if you look at the top line at the hairline, like if you just close the whole hoof, right, but leave the hairline and you draw according to your knowledge the foot that belongs to that hairline, it will look completely different. I mean, the heels will be completely rotated and curled under. It's not even correct in my opinion.
You're right. You're right. And see, that's the point I'm trying to
So
make.
I think it's a very good exercise for somebody just to close the foot and show them the hairline with bulging lateral cartilages, and that the hairline is distorted, and ask them, can you please finish the drawing according to the hairline? And then you will know whether people will understand the anatomy in a sense, right?
Well, see the purpose I'm trying to make. Okay, so this is the shape. This might be the shape of the foot right here if it had some false heel, or it might go like this. See, either or. But look up here. Where's the cartilage?
There is nothing.
There's nothing, because it's all wrapped down and around. See, the purpose, the reason that I'm showing this is in the Merrick Veterinary Manual, showing what a foot is supposed to be like. So see, what I'm showing you is how in their very own veterinary manuals, they do not know the true anatomy. And not only do they not know the true anatomy, but they will not use the picture of a real foot, because a real foot would show things that are contrary to what they believe. See, they have had an image of what the anatomy is put in their head that is untrue. And so they don't even know what the sole corium really looks like, how it's really shaped. They don't know. Okay, like here in my picture up here of this foot, you're going to notice something, because this that I didn't know at the time I did this foot. Okay. Like I've been telling you here. See, I'm trying to show you how people get deceived, how they get deluded, how in veterinary and farriery they have so much error in regards to anatomy. It is so entrenched that they will not show a real foot. They'll draw it, and then they draw it according to the image that's been put in their head for hundreds of years. And there's even parts that they don't even know about. Like they don't even realize that the sole corium lips up over the edge of the foot and grows a convex sole ridge. They don't even realize that. They don't even realize that on the coronary band, it extends behind the foot and grows a triangular wedge shape of heel buttress. So they can't, I mean, they might know that heel buttress is there, but why aren't they drawing the part it grows from? Now, if you look up here, on this foot that I did, on this dissection, it was like my second dissection, really. And the other one was that foundered mare. I really didn't cut her feet as much as I did this one. Okay, I want you to see right here, this is the heel buttress corium right here. That is the extension of the back of the coronary band. Now on here, where is it on here? They don't even have one on here because they don't understand how it's all put together because it's too hard to take off hoof capsules. So they have not studied just the foot first, which you would call the basic of the gross anatomy, would be just the foot with the skin covering in its correct position. And so you see this right here. This is the heel buttress corium, but I had been trimming the heels back to the base of the frog on this horse for at least 8 months. So at least 3-4 trims, maybe, you know. And so then, so his whole coronary band was being pulled down to the ground. And I'll show you this foot again here in a different context in a minute, but I'm going to annotate here. So here I'm showing you that they're incorrect. The heel buttress corium here that grows the heel buttress is not on their drawing. This is supposed to be an anatomically, look, they're naming it. Coronary corium, periople corium, corium of the frog's egg, blah, blah, blah. But where's this? It's right here on this foot, but it's just been pulled down. See, this heel buttress grows from here, but this here is supposed to be clear up here. Like that. And then the heel buttress would grow from right here. But because I was trimming the heels out, it was pulling the whole thing down and under. And now the heels are growing forward like so. Okay, they don't even show that on here. See, the point is that these are some of the top of the line books that your veterinarian and your farrier is learning from. And so the point is they do not know the anatomy, that they have to draw a picture or it won't agree with the image that's been put in their head for 250 some years. See, that's how entrenched error gets into different fields, not just this field. Okay, I always say, okay, if they can't even get a single digit on a horse right, whoa, what do they do in other fields like medicine? What else are they getting wrong? You know, see, they don't like to think about that either. And so most of the time they're going about just trying to defend their error and make their error look true. And maybe not even on purpose. It's just because they've been so indoctrinated into anatomical error by the writers of the past that they cannot see. So, you know, Einstein said, well, I don't know, I may be paraphrasing it. The only thing that gets in the way of my learning is my education. Okay, so anyway, so I wanted you to understand that's why I'm showing this. I know it's not a correct foot. See, that's the point I'm trying to make. It isn't a correct foot, and it's in books that say they know what they're talking about. See, so we need to understand that. Okay, so I was going to show you this foot, explain something here. So again, having to unlearn. So you're trying to learn about the anatomy of the foot and everything else, and you happen upon this stuff. Okay, well, this is older. Look at that one, how that one's drawn. See, that one's totally screwed up. Look where that coronary band, I mean, it's way wrapped around and under the foot. So they would have been studying this, thinking this was the true foot. This has been going on for centuries. See, I collect this stuff just so I can know what they were looking at. Now, whoever did this book, this one, look at what he showed. He actually had a decent foot there. But that's not the norm, and that is not what they see. Let me go back. See, another one from way long time ago. Again, incorrect, deformed. This is a pretty cool book, actually. Somebody bought it, some market, had little flipper opens to show different things, and wasn't horrible bad, you know. But look, again, where does the lamina go? All the way to the end, right? You don't really see, I mean, you can see a couple little things there showing that the sole corium is at the very bottom. But again, so they believe that the sole is only concave and does not grow a convex ridge of sole. So that's a pretty cool book. Now, I wonder if they're showing, now they are showing in this book that the coffin bone maybe is at a slight angle and maybe not totally ground parallel, but I can't really tell. Anyways, okay, well, that was for today, no? All right, time for a drink of water. Okay, so anyway, the reason I go on about this stuff is because in order to change this, okay, we're going to have to understand where we went wrong. Okay, people don't like to go back to the drawing board. I can tell you that. When you think that you're advanced and you know it, okay, you don't want to go back and have to rebuild it. All right. That's why I say I don't really care about the vets or the farriers or the people that are so entrenched in this error. I just care about hurting people and hurting horses. And that's who I want to reach with TACT, you know, to help people. And I think that we will get enough success stories and we learn more as we go. And then maybe later, see, as you change the minds of the people, then a lot of times the minds of the powers that be will have to change eventually, just like the farriers did with the barefooters. Okay, so let me tell you this. So like there was a war going on when barefoot trimming arose back in 1992 when Jamie Jackson came out with this book. Okay, then the people became anti-shoe. All right. And so the farriers just hated the barefooters and the barefooters, the farriers, and there was no middle ground there. Well, in walks Dr. Boker who hangs out with the barefooters, jumps through his college into his grandson out the other side into farriery as an expert, and takes the doctrines of the barefooters and inserts them into farriery, which at the same time, all these farriers are losing clients as barefoot becomes more popular. And so finally, the farriers start taking on barefoot clients, and you know, they just read about, okay, take the heels down and do a Mustang roll, presto changeo, give me your $65, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay. I mean, really, that's what a lot of these trims are, right? And so then they all just kind of came together, see, into one big blob of error. And that's what we got going on now. And so this is the way I look at it. If the truth starts to prevail and more people come to it and more people are asking, well, can you do a TACT trim? Sooner or later, even though they both hate it. And why will they hate it? Initially, they're going to hate it because it totally disagrees with everything they ever learned. And then they're going to resist it because once you learn TACT and you understand all these concepts of error and how wrongly trimming the heels leads to the death of horses, the suffering and death of horses, then you, in your 40-year career, okay, where you thought you were knew what you were doing the whole time, and you cared, and you cared when people's horses got laminitis and all these other diseases and things happened. You cared. You felt bad. How bad are you going to feel when you find out that what you did actually caused it? See? How bad are you going to feel over that? See the resistance you're going to encounter here? Because it hurts. Truth hurts. It hurts to open your eyes and see that. See, I have to do it. I have to look at my pony and go, yep, I did that to her. And I'm not too sure if I wouldn't have done that barefoot trim on a few horses that I maybe never saw again, if that might have been the end of that for them. You know, I'm glad it never became I was too old. It never became a full-fledged business for me. So I was limited on the number of horses I could screw up, you know. So really, I got one left of somebody else's that I used to trim for that I'm doing, and that's it. And so I'm glad, you know, I don't have 50 I got to go fix, you know, because all of a sudden I found the truth, you know. So anyway, okay, well, that's all I'm going to talk about on that. And are you understanding why you need to know the history here of this, what the people believe and why they practice it?
Yep.
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 You know, what you're coming up against? You know, it'd be like, you know, it'd be like coming up against a major religion. You know, we know what happens there. History is replete with this stuff. You know, the powers that be don't like to be questioned. And, you know, I've seen too how people will go out of their way to try and hold on to their beliefs. See, because it's not really truly based, and they'll fudge the science. They'll twist the science around to hold on to those things. So anyway, okay. Well, let's talk about something happy. Has anybody had anything good happen with their horse's feet?
I put shoes on.
Well, that's a good testimony.
Glue on shoes first time, but I think she likes them.
Good. I'm
Well-
glad. And stuff, because see, we are not against shoes. We are for anything and everything. What am I looking at here? There, let's put it on that. Was that on the screen? We're looking at Australia's pandemic.
Yep.
No, that
Oh,
was on
sorry.
screen.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I study lots of stuff, as you can see. Okay, so anyway,
Well, I have a little bit of success with Angelo, my other gelding,
okay.
and yeah, I think the cartilages are right now in the right position and released
Uh-huh.
for yeah. If you want me, I can send you pictures.
Yeah. Yeah,
Then we can have a look at them.
let's have a look.
Yeah, I'll send you some.
Hi, Linda. It's Leah from Spain.
Hi, Leah. How are
Hi.
you?
Oh, I'm fine. I haven't been able to join the chats lately because I've had a lot of work, but at least today I could.
I'm so glad you could. How's your horse doing?
Well, they're fine. I sent you some pictures and maybe we could you can comment on them because I haven't been able to trim for a long time, and I'm a bit. I would like your opinion on my colt. You know, the 2-year-old.
Okay. Okay.
But when after seeing the other pictures from, I don't know, who is it? I sent them to you on the Facebook.
okay.
I think they're still bound in the back.
I'm
but
headed in that direction.
He
getting
has
on
some natural notches that he's done just in front of the heel. I was only able to take lateral pictures though. I couldn't take sole pictures. So I just want your opinion on them and how do you think they are evolving?
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna look at these others here, and then I'll do you. Okay.
Yes,
You sent me some here. Who, Leah?
I have
Mary-
that
Mary-
natural
oh,
notch on
Mary
Angelo
Burt
too.
sent me something too.
I have that natural notch on Angelo too, so you will see it on their
Okay.
pictures.
Let's see. New share. Okay. Move this out of the way. Well, his cartilage is starting to look good. It's not all rounded down. Do you have a picture from before?
I'm looking for one.
Okay. He's starting to get some. See, what you need is that elevation to the hairline. And why do we need that? Okay, I'll show you why. A second here. Oops, wrong deal. I got to decide a picture to share here. Well, you need the elevation to the hairline because that shows that your heels are growing in, because that lifts the frog up off the ground so that the frog can start to grow and start to support and push up and support the digital cushion and the back of the foot up off the ground. That's why you need that. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find a picture without having to use somebody else's. Maybe I just won't care. Okay, we'll use this. Oh, interesting. Something happened interesting. Did you know that Facebook kicked me off of groups for 2 days for showing a foot, for showing internal anatomy of the foot in a
I believe it.
Yeah, I'll show it to you here in a minute, what they kicked me off for and what they said I violated.
I got restricted for 24 hours and I have no idea what I did.
You know, their day's coming. Okay, just a minute here. New share. Okay. So the back of this foot has to be supported. You see how, let's see, annotate, draw, the hairline.
Sure.
See the angle and the height of the hairline there? Okay, so here's the foot. Okay, there's the back of the heel. Now here, look here. It's what I was talking to you about. This is the, what's that grow? Right there.
Buttress corium.
Right. That's the little nubbin that should be there that wasn't in those drawings of those horses, right? Those feet were Merrick and Stishik's, whatever it was, didn't have that. Now, see, I can take and show you my mare on YouTube that I did a video on. In fact, it's a feature film. And she didn't have it either. This part of hers was wrapped around solid behind her foot still. So her foot was not completely restored. So you have to get some of this hoof wall. Like I'd say what you got is you probably have this much from looking at that picture. Okay, it looks like you kind of got this. You know, you're starting to get some hairline up here, up instead of it going clear down like this. See? So, okay, undo. So what was I going to say? Can't remember. Okay, so you see the foot. Foot and capsule are two different things. Okay. Okay, here's the foot. Oops. So that's the whole foot right there. This, all of this, let's see, is cartilage and fat. All this back here, the only part that's bone is up here. Okay, all of this, cartilage and fat. Well, there's a navicular bone in there, and of course a short pastern bone is there, but everything else in the foot itself is cartilage and fat. And so imagine this is your nose, okay, right here, and it needs the support, be supported in the middle of your face by whatever this is here, the heel, and you just chop it off right here, and then it forces your nose down to the ground. Okay, so cartilage and fat. Your nose actually has a fat pad in it. All right, and cartilage. Again, that's what the back of the foot is. So you have to have this elevation here, so that there is some wall. Let me see here. Let me do this. So there is some wall growing in here. All right, so that it is supporting this up. Otherwise, it's always going to be pulling up, and it will take this heel and it will wrap it around the back of the foot there. It will wrap it around. And so you have to have this so that you have some elevation holding the foot up in the air so that then the frog is free to grow. Okay? Because every time you lower those heels and lower it down to give it frog pressure, it wraps those heels around behind and contracts the heels, or a number of different things, couple of different things it does. Okay, so let's go back now. Now I got to find you again. Okay. Okay, so new share. Okay, there we go. Now, you know what I see good here? I see a nice tight white line. You know, I don't see any.
For the first time.
What did you, that's the first time?
That's the first time, yeah, that I have a completely closed white line.
Wow.
The last
See,
the last time I trimmed him, it was around, yeah, maybe 3 millimeters depth.
uh-huh.
And right now, it's pretty closed. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. And then we can look now, see, you're starting to get, this is going to start all looking better here as he starts developing some frog. He's getting some room for frog now.
Yeah.
And as this pastern is descending down onto there and kind of moving that frog, that's going to help the circulation. Because when they just pound it on the ground and dead frog, that I think that affects the circulation. In fact, let's just take everything they teach in barefoot trimming and say it's probably the exact opposite. The truth is probably the exact opposite. So, because you can look at those videos I have on YouTube, how the digital cushion and frog work together. Okay. And you see that the frog needs room to expand and descend. Okay. That would keep everything working right. That's going to improve blood circulation, not totally trimming out the heels to where the frog is just bottoming out. So this is looking good. And I'm going to tell you that myself and others, we've been getting these rings when the feet expand. Has anybody else seen that?
Yeah, that's a good thing because in this time when this ring gets the natural notch, I can trim out, and in this trim, a part of the false heel from that old notch, natural notch. I send you a picture before, after that, where you can see that notch.
Okay.
And the foot was bound, and he was not bound in and up. His foot was totally big and flat, and oh my god, yeah, he was shoe size 17 when he needs 14, for
Oh,
example.
wow. So big
So,
platter foot.
yeah, totally. And
Oh, wow.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
Because that ring is or you can see on that ring when the notch is out of the hoof, so right on the bottom.
Oh, that's here. I'm going to look at the next picture here.
And that's
Oh my goodness. That's his foot.
Yeah, that's the same foot. Around
Wow.
3 or 4 months ago.
Wow. This is wonderful. Wow. I mean, that's great. Look at the difference. Oh my goodness. That looks great. Good job. That's really fabulous.
Thank you.
And
I'll
the
do my best.
scenery is fabulous too. I'm always talking about the scenery at where she lives. I mean,
Yeah.
look at that cool fence back there.
And that's the lateral side. The medial side, I'm gonna send you right now. It looks
Okay.
more better than
Okay.
because he just had that notch on the lateral side. And the
Okay.
medial side is even better. I send you a picture, just a second.
Okay. Wow. This is awesome. Well, and Marilyn, I was gonna say I seen the video of you riding Dolly and stuff, and she looked really comfortable.
Yeah, she's much better.
Yeah, she's just kind of swinging her head there a little, the way they do, and walking down the middle of the road, gravel road, not looking for the side of the road.
She does go to the side sometimes too, but she's out in the middle. I had boots on her hind feet because I'm waiting for the shoes to come. She's wearing her heels, her heels right off on the hind feet. They're just down to nothing.
Really? Well, she looked real comfortable walking down the road there.
Shoes on the front, boots on the back.
That's awesome.
So normally you have that or probably you have that picture.
Let's see. Okay.
That's not my past.
Got it. Now new share.
That is the medial side.
Okay. Yeah, it looks great. Well, my goodness, they have really, really improved. And
the ground is soft. It's not a hard ground, so it's soft, so it sinks a little. So he sinks a little into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a sport ground,
Mm-hmm.
but they stand comfortable. Yeah, I missed the part that I put him on the wood again for the picture.
Well,
You can
well,
see I have him on the.
just really doing a great job. And what you're going to find here is the frog will eventually grow in. And then when it does, it's going to push the digital cushion up. See, right now his digital
Mhm.
cushion does not have a lot of support from the frog, but it will, and it will be an internal support that you're going to see in here and feel in here. It's different than just having a big old thick frog. Okay, it's where the internal part of the foot and that frog stay, all of it just starts coming together and pushing up everything into where it's supposed to be. That's what I'm finding happen on Valor. Like, okay, first of all, that you can get a clean white line means that your foot has settled down correctly. Your walls have come back correctly. Like when we look at, let's see here. When we look at this, okay, just all of this being able to come back correctly. I mean, to go from this to that, that's a big deal. And just look at how the alignment of these horn tubules are. See, that's really great.
So I just sent you a picture from the sole view with the not cleaned.
Okay.
It's
How much
right.
time passed?
Just a second, I'm looking. So this, and also you see the frock.
Oh
This
yeah,
is-
here, new
This is in
share.
May. So the old picture is in May, and the other is right. What kind of date was that? Around 2 months between
Wow.
it.
Okay, just a second.
Wow.
I gotta see. Okay, hold on. Oh, do new share. Okay. So yeah, look at the separation. You know, and the frog health is not good. And see what we're talking about, how trimming the heels out strips the frog out of the foot, you know, and sometimes it gets taken over by huge amounts of periopal, which makes it look like a good frog. But then other times you have something that looks more like that.
Yeah, it was totally crippled, that frog.
Yeah, see how much better that is. Wow. See, filling in, and the whole back of the foot has filled in.
And the hoof is more symmetrical.
Uh-huh.
If you compare it to the other, I see it on the photo right now when you compare both of the lateral sides.
Here, I'm gonna take a picture of this so I can hold it up next to the other foot. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, just a second. I'm lost. Screen share. Screen share. Okay. Now we're gonna go back.
That looks like a.
Oh, let's see here. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Just a second. No, I can't put those two pictures together right now, but man, it is really different. I really like the way all the horn tubules have come back into alignment. And that's what it takes. You know, Because when they're out of alignment, they're not growing down and connecting with the sole in the right place. Like, okay, like if you look at the difference between these 2 feet, well, here, I know what I can do. Well, no, never mind. I'm going to annotate on this. Okay, where is my annotate? There it is.
I did a mistake. I sent you 2 different picture, 2 different hoofs, but they look the same.
Oh, it's the
similar.
same. That's good. That's all right. I totally can relate to that. Okay, so you oh, I want thinner. Clear all drawings. Okay, so you see the horn tubule. Now, let's see, draw, spotlight, eraser, format. Okay, I think that one will work. Okay, so horn tubules. Okay, I'll push forward to there, and then these ones in front said we're not going anywhere, and that's why you got a crack there. Quarter crack, as it's called. So all these tubules back here, when the heels are over trimmed or incorrect, and that's all pulled down, well, it makes them at a more of an angle growing forward. Well, so then they start pushing forward, you know, and they'll push forward until they get to one place that won't move. So they pushed forward right here, and what was in front didn't move, so they cracked right there. And so when we look at that, and we know that all this had to come back like this and stand, see that one there had to come back here. This one here had to come back there. And this one here had to come back here. So then when we go to this, you see that's exactly what happened. And then the crack closed up, because it wasn't just a notch, it was a quarter crack. And the foot was bent. The foot is bent. When this is pulled down and everything's growing forward, well then, let's see, the annotate. Okay, well then, oh, come on.
So in the meantime, I made a comparison. I sent you just a second.
Okay. So the hoof wall has to grow down like this. And right about here, it connects with the sole. And then they join together in the white line. Let's see. Internally, the sole and the wall are joined together by the white line, and they grow down to the ground together. Well, when this same horn tubule grows down, but it gets pushed forward like this, it's no longer connected to this same piece of sole right here. It gets pushed past it, and then there's no true connection. So you don't have that white line. So that's what you have when you have, well, the foot can be bent, but also the horn tubules doing that is when you get this separation in here, because it's just not joining up with the sole correctly and stuff. And so when she got her horn tubules all in alignment in the back of the foot, more elevated better, and just a bunch of things going on there, then she got the tubules were connecting with the white line here, or with the sole, which makes the white line. And then that's why she has a clean white line now, because everything's connected the way it's supposed to be. And that's what, you see, you can't just rasp this. It has, the foot has to be restored to everything growing right in its place. If you were to try to rasp this when the walls were still bad like they were before, you'd want to even get a clean line, you'd have to rasp out so much sole, and even then you might not be able to get it. See, because it's just not there. So what you did was you restored the horn tubules to their correct location so they could grow down, join up with the sole, at the white line where the foot injects that yellow glue to glue the wall to the sole, and then they can grow down to the ground together and you have a tight, clean white line. So that's great. That is superior, wonderful improvement.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I'm also very happy with that.
Yeah, I would be too. I'd be like, woohoo.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop.
Linda, sorry, this is Alana from Hungary. I also sent you, I just made very quick comparison of, you remember this little mare I took in with like sprayed heels?
Uh-huh.
Like they were going under from her and looked really ugly.
Uh-huh.
And I just sent you because of the notches also, and people were asking, there was some post about the notches.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought it could be interesting.
Okay, I'll show that real quick, and then I'm gonna go and do this other horse. Just a minute.
Because probably I should do just the view from every trim, and I just did it from the beginning and to the last trim.
Well, look at
But
that.
It would be interesting. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, please. Say on.
No, it would be interesting to see how the food developed. And you know what I want to talk and pay. I mean, it's still in process, right? Mm-hmm. And I try to keep this horse on the property until she has, you know, she's sound to go or in a better shape. What is interesting, I want to discuss. You see in the first picture when she came where the notch was, right?
Right here.
Right. And you see it's like 1/3 of the hoof. And on the other picture, it's not corresponding in a sense with the place of the first one because it's like 1/3 or 2/3.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, and this is notch, I had to make it. It was, I just don't have its after trim because the crack went so deep, I had to scoop out the black. You know, the gut basically, and clean it up to the clean stuff so it doesn't get it. So it's because how the placing of the notch is different and the placing of the crack is different, right? So what I was thinking, maybe on the first picture the hoof was curled right at the back and it uncurled, or I don't know, it's just interesting for me.
And this is this the same foot?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
This is
that's really interesting. Look at the curved lines, and they're gone here.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
that's really interesting.
A very interesting development. So I'll try to grab her tomorrow also, and I will try to like a gallery of one image, so just to trace what has been happening to her.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then what is this bottom image? The other foot?
That's the lateral right hind.
Okay. And then so she started like this.
Yeah, in April.
Okay.
End of April.
Did you trim her heel off, or did she break it off herself?
I didn't trim off her heel. I always kind of I have, because they were, I will just show you, it's quite how they looked. It's quite difficult to describe. They were out from under her feet somehow. That's how I can describe.
Okay.
I'm just sending you the images. So people, and it's very interesting because I know this horse from 2018. I started to trim her in a different method, you know, long time ago in 2010. And then I went to TACT. And then when I started to restore her heels, she was taken away from me because she wasn't my horse. I just cared for her. And I brought her back in April in that state, which means that they took her when her heels were not restored yet, right? they were not able to, they were empty heels. I sent you the pictures of the lateral views so people can understand better.
Okay.
And because her heels were not yet at the time true heels, they kind of went to the sides. You see?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. There we go. Okay.
And nobody trimmed her, I mean, there.
Huh. I've seen heels do that before. Yeah. On horses
And
that hadn't been
because, you
trimmed a
know,
really long time.
they were really like empty heels, like they're not the true heels, because these horses usually have really tough feet.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
And they were just going from, you know, to the sides
Yeah.
rather than going under more.
Well, that's maybe that's better.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, it's just interesting.
I see what you're saying here. They're just going to the side instead of going forward.
Yeah.
I love looking at feet like this because you can see the good foot underneath them. You know, like
Yeah.
just take off this wall and, you know, correct a couple little things there, and there's a good foot under there.
So what I was doing in the first trim, you were asking what I did with the heels.
Uh-huh.
I rasped it on the outside to keep it closer
Yeah.
to the real foot. So I just sent you a picture. I mean, it's not perfect, but
Okay.
it is what it is, right?
Okay. Oops. Well, see, I just think I have no problem with this. This looks great.
Yeah, you see, I just took it off as much so it doesn't create the pool. It's not pretty, but that I just thought it's kind of logical just to keep it closer to the white line.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks great. I think you're doing fine. You know, trying to figure out how to do what always to do, how to whatever, you know, it's kind of a brainstorm, you know.
Mhm.
I think you did great. And I like this. I like horses like this. I like to look at their feet because I know there's truly a good foot in there, you know, and a lot of people look at it and go, oh my goodness, you know, well, no, not really. It's just some overgrowth, a little here and there. It's not as big a deal as what people make it, you know. Look, still got really nice cartilages and, you know, ultimately a nicely shaped foot. She hasn't got a lot of deformation, you know.
And I think she expanded the back of the foot. That was really nice to see. I mean, she wasn't contracted, but she was kind of pulled. You see how rounded the cartilages are, and on the last pictures it's much more straighter, and the back of the foot is bigger.
Yeah,
that's what
yeah, this is great. Well, thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank
keep it up, because I really I like to see, like, just the way her feet were growing and stuff. Must have been soft ground where she was.
Sand. We have
sand. Sand. Yeah. Okay. 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 What am I got there? Oh yeah, that's where I found. Well, we're not going to talk about that. That was about Professor Coleman. Let's see here. All right. Well, okay. Now I'm going to go and just a second, and I'm going to do Leah's horse. Hi, Leah.
Hi.
Okay.
The first ones, yes, those are from Saturday.
Okay.
And the ones underneath were a week before that. So I see the natural notch there. I hadn't trimmed those.
Okay.
These are the lines, but I wanted, you know, I could see that. I wanted your opinion on them.
Yeah.
I haven't trimmed them for about a month.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. If you can, about it, the only thing that would need trimmed on this, maybe we'll look here, would be let's see.
That's the front.
Okay. Like probably just this in here, You know, they're not overgrown per se, but see, that's good. He's breaking those out. So if you wanted to break them out on the other side in a similar fashion, help them, so to speak, it's not going to hurt. See how this piece is not breaking out?
Yes, yes.
But it could, you know, and of course, you know, your bulbs are kind of held down there. And
this is before the pictures that we just saw. I managed to rasp a bit, but he was very difficult because he's very young and he's a cold and he was biting me and very difficult. So I did it as best as I could. I rasped down to the sole level to take away the extra wool that you could see in these pictures. But I wanted just to show you the before and after because I couldn't take sole pictures of this.
Okay.
So the hinds I didn't touch, but the fronts I did manage to rasp down.
Okay.
That's him.
Is that him? Where? Right here?
No, that's her. That's my mare. And
him?
That's him. Yes.
Is he gilded?
No.
Oh,
not yet.
Are you going to get him gilded?
Oh, I think so, because if I want him to have a happy life and to be able to be with other horses, I'm going to have to.
Oh, yeah. And if he's, you know, trying to bite you already.
Well, he's playful. He's not really aggressive yet, but I mean, he's 2, and I think that when he'll be 3, he'll be more, you know, stallion-y.
Yeah. Well, whenever they drop, like Valor started dropping when he was 2, and you could really tell the difference in his attitude, you know.
Yes.
And then he had one that didn't want to come down all the way, so he had to like have a full-blown operation.
Oh no, I'm dreading the operation, but
yeah, it's not that bad. I've seen some horses gilded the old cowboy way. Now that's bad. Back when I was a kid,
oh no,
because all they do is they just stretch them out like a cow and gild them.
Well, that's where I'm dipping their hooves in water to make them easier to trim.
Yeah,
and her too. Okay, so yes.
Yeah, see if you could get part of that off. That'd be good. And get your frogs trimmed up. That'd help him a lot.
And they're as hard as stone now. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
So let's see if we have a look at the other ones.
Okay.
See, that's what they look like. Very hard and scaly.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the wall and the separation there? Is that bad or is it just overgrown? What do you think about that? You know, the white line.
Is this him too?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is before I managed to rasp down to that level. You've got lateral pictures too to compare to see that they're longer.
Okay.
If you can continue.
Yeah. Well, it's overgrowth, and one of the things that's going to happen here is his foot, if it's real dry and cracked, I mean, really, this is all gluing his foot together.
Yes, it's not letting it expand
and stuff, and like your bar is growing over the sole here and stuff like that. And you know, I do everything I could to make it a priority.
Yes.
Like you might want to get, you know what a sole rasp is?
Yes. Yes.
You might want to think about investing in one of those, because you can also trim the bars with those.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I would focus on just trying to keep these walls down and beveled. Try and keep, you know, because otherwise, yeah, you are going to get some separation. I don't really think you have separation here. I think this is overgrowth, because if you look back here at the size of the foot, how it's actually small. It's not all stretched out. It's just overgrowth. But another thing that's happening is his foot is growing, but the capsule won't expand.
Yes, that's
what'll happen is his foot will start to bend in the capsule. See how it's the hairline is jacked up here?
Yes, yes.
So that's what you got going on here.
I wanted you to confirm that, because I was seeing that.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would make it a priority to get whatever tools I could, you know, like a sole rasp and stuff like that. You might be able to you know, rasp down the frog too, you know, anything to start getting that excess off the bottom of that foot, because it really isn't good for you to have that. See, his foot wants to expand, but the capsule and the frog and all the deadness not letting him. You know, he's a grown boy. And so, yeah, his foot is actually bigger than this, but it hasn't been able to expand. And so you'll wind up with a club-footed horse is what'll happen, because he's going to get a lot bigger.
Yes.
And his feet are going to get bigger. But if the capsule don't expand, then that's how you get a clubfoot horse. See, and when you look back here, like he's a big horse, like when we're looking at him here, he's as big as she, well, maybe not as big, but he's good size. He ain't a baby, right? You know, he's not a baby.
I think I sent you a picture of the three of them together. So if you continue going back.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
those are my three. There's my mare, my gelding, and my colt. But look, he's nearly as big as
yeah.
his mother. That's his mother.
Right here. Right here.
Yes, that's his mother. Yes.
Oh, I love her head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. See, so you've got to do whatever you can to start getting those feet exfoliated, so his feet can keep growing, or he will wind up with just being a big horse with small feet.
Yeah.
And in truth, his foot will be bound up in there. See, I mean, it already is right here.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And stuff like this horn tubule. We just went through that on those horn tubules.
Mm-hmm,
See how these are all pushed forward? And then you got a crack.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a quarter crack. And so that's because the foot is bound here. And so everything's growing where the foot is and stuff. But if you can start relieving, getting rid of all that flaky junk and get them bars over, you know, start getting them walls down, you know, and get that so that the back of his foot can expand, then he'll be able to grow properly. You know, it'd be kind of like
on the other direction to see the
oops, just a minute.
That one.
Okay. Yeah, see the big bulb here?
Yeah.
The capsule is not able to grow with the foot because the foot is not able to expand and stuff.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
Yes, that's the hind.
You know, and stuff.
He created a notch for that one.
Yeah, let's see.
No, not there, but the next day you have a notch in the other picture.
Oh, does he? Okay. Oh, yep. See there?
Yes.
See, and that is that way because the foot is bent.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
See? But it's good he did that. See, it's interesting, you know, learning from. So
see, there's the notch. You can see it there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that looks good. He did a good job.
But his frog, I can see it's much wider than it used to be. It used to be very thin. So I see that his frog has expanded, but I see it's a bit contracted in the heels and there's no frog stay.
Well, there may be some frog stay up there, but it's just pulled under.
Yeah.
I mean, the frog looks good, but then what happens too is because the frog gets big and then it's just going to bind the back of his foot there again as it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so his old frog stay from the old foot is probably there, just keeping the bulbs bent down under. You know, it's a hard deal because these feet are not easy to trim and to begin with. Okay, unless you're using a 4-inch grinder with a flap disc sander, you know, they're not easy to trim to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add a colt on top of it with growing feet. You know, I mean, were he out in the correct conditions in the wild, he'd be wearing the heck out of this and his foot would be expanding, able to expand, see?
I mean, he's out in a field 24/7, but he's not wearing his feet out. It's not big enough where he is.
Yeah, you know, and stuff. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and stuff. See, he's remaining to have a small hoof capsule here. It's so similar to what happens to him when you trim the heels out. how they can go and it's the same shape. In this case, you got, they grow, they have a certain size capsule, the inner foot grows, but it's not able to release. And so you got a bigger foot in a smaller capsule, like what you have right here.
Yes.
Or if you have a already grown horse and he's got pretty good sized feet, but you're trimming the heels out, and then you're just doing the same thing. You're just taking that foot and compressing it into a smaller capsule from the reverse direction.
Yeah. Can you recommend me a sole rasp? I don't know if I can get it here in Spain, but if you can show me one that's, I don't know, maybe I can, a good one.
Okay, so like these,
The Evo ones. I think I can get that one. Hoof care.
Evo Hoof Care.
Yeah, I think I can get that one here. So that is a good one. You use that one, or you use the grinder?
Well, I use a grinder, but I know people that use this. And that's what's funny is some people have taken to making them out of regular rasps as well.
Yes. They bend them. They bend a regular rasp and they make this one.
Yeah. But see, there's two different kinds there, which I think, see, look at the difference.
So the best is the black one then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder how much they cost.
The white one is in Germany around 20 euros.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
And
that's good.
Yeah. And I tried it, but
Did it work?
I don't like it that much.
No, but you tried the white one, not the black one.
I tried the white one. Yeah, I doesn't see the black one when I'm looking for it. Right now I'm using my knife, very gentle. And that works very well. But that white one I tried.
Okay,
but it was in the beginning from my TACT trimming journey. So maybe I'm thinking
do you want to sell it?
No, Sabine has it right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't use it anymore, so I give it away.
Well, just thinking, So this is kind of a bad looking deal, dude. Look at that. How come this thing?
That's a weapon.
Yeah.
that. Look at the spike on that thing.
Yeah, that might do it. The thing about it is that where you're at too, you have more moisture, I think, than where she's at in Spain. Am I wrong? Hello? Is anybody there?
I suppose that yes, because in Spain it's very, very dry now. It's very, very hot.
Yeah, so Sabine can
Maybe
she can use a knife easier.
Yeah, I can't. The knife is like putting a knife on stone.
Oh, yeah.
And I wet their hooves for 40 minutes in the water in the lake, and still there's still stones. So it's really difficult. So perhaps that rasp will help.
Yeah.
Another tip is you can put a sock on it for around an hour if you have him in the box. And wet.
But he lives outside, there are no boxes. But I put him in a lake, full water. For an hour, and it doesn't work either. 15
minutes is not enough.
Yeah.
So maybe 4 hours or 5 hours would be good, but the rasp will work on the very hard rock thing better than the knife. Yeah, that's true. Okay. So my horse's hoof are, the most of the time are normal or wet, but not that dried out.
Well, Linda?
Yeah.
On horses with thin soles, Dolly has thin soles, but she's got a sole that looks like it's wanting to flake off, like that cracky type stuff. I've been hesitant to do that because of the thin soles. Should I be taking some of that off, or just leaving it there, letting it wear off, or what should I be doing with that?
Well, I don't know.
Of course, right now she has shoes on, so she's going to be in shoes for a while.
Yeah. It's a catch-22. I mean, I know that first of all, the foot has to be right for them to even grow correct sole to begin with.
Exactly.
And so then, you know, any little bit of sole they grow, you kind of want there for protection. But on the other hand, too, if the tubules get all clogged up, they're not going to grow, you know.
Yeah,
So you see what I mean? Like how why it's a catch-22, you know, it's like,
I sure do.
So you just kind of have to go back and forth and do experiment and see what's best for you. What do you think is best for the horse while you're in the meantime trying to get the foot right so the sole will grow correctly, because that's the whole point too. You know, why I was sharing about the true anatomy of the sole, understanding what makes that a good sole, why the foot has to be anatomically correct, the wall's in the right place, the heel buttress. Without a correct heel buttress, you can't have a correct sole either. See? So all these things work in and factor to you, you know, that's what we are doing, is we are trying to correct the whole hoof capsule in such a way that things are growing right and in alignment so that the sole ridge can grow correctly, so that the bowl of the sole can grow correctly, and the horn tubules and the angles of the horn tubules in the sole can grow correctly so that we can get the right sole. And so until we get there, there's this back and forth answer on some of this stuff. You know, you haven't got a correct foot anyway. And so sometimes there's not always just to absolutely do this answer, you know, but here's the thing, like, you have to trim bars and you have to do certain things because it can create so much pressure on the bottom of the sole that it can cause abscesses. You know, so you don't want a tremendous amount of dead lumps and clumps build up. That's not going to do you any good either. You'd be better off to take that out and then buy some Vet Tech Sole Guard and put on there.
I have hoof armor.
Okay, well, you know, I think, well, Sole Guard's a little different in that it is a thicker epoxy. You know, I used it when Valor, when his heel moved and it just dislodged the whole half a sole on half of his foot. And there was new sole growing underneath, but it was real thin. And so then when I took out that old sole of that pocket there, I used, at that time I had some of that stuff. Sole Guard, Vet Tech Sole Guard. Let's see.
Right now she's got the composite shoes with a wide web on it, so she's got good protection for her soles right now.
Okay, good. You know, I
That's
can't
what I'll be putting on her hinds too.
Okay. Okay, so Leah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to you here. Let's see. Facebook. There we are. Okay, yeah, boy, they are dry. See? You know, so that's where I'd start, trying to figure out some way, you know, to start knocking some of that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got dual dry feet for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Linda. Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I suspected. I just wanted your opinion. And also another question. I tried putting some oil, hoof oil, but when I wet his hooves and put hoof oil on top, is that a good idea? Do you think that will help the foot, the capsule be softer and can expand, or is it, you know, it's not effective to put hoof oil on the hooves?
You know, that's another catch-22 for me. Because oil is a barrier to moisture, right?
I know, but if I put water and then the oil on top, I mean, it's as if I'm putting a sock on, really, no? Because I'm trying to keep the water inside the hoof and I'm not letting it come out.
Okay, well, see, the periopal does that. You know, the periopal, I mean, I don't know how that's going to work.
I tried it, just tried it.
Yeah, the periopal will do that. That is, in fact, that is the job of the periopal, to keep moisture in and keep moisture out. Both. It maintains a moisture balance in the foot, but it lets more in if there's moisture in the ground, but because periopal can get saturated and suck up water and stuff. So if you have oil on it, I don't know if it would do that.
Yeah.
So
Can
I
you
don't
make
know.
I make mud by my water trough.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. That's
I have like real red clay ground that gets really hard, and I'll just soak it all down and make mud, and that really helps. I have a 2-year-old that looks exactly like that. I'm doing the same thing.
that sounds good. Where do you live that you have red ground?
Kentucky.
There's something about red earth. I love red earth.
Yeah,
There's a place up out of Du Bois, Wyoming called Red Rocks. There's a little restaurant there and stuff. It's just along the highway, and it's all red. Everywhere it's red. And then there's a place going into Fort Collins, Colorado. It's the same way. It's red earth. I just have this thing about red earth. I just love the way it looks.
In northeast Minnesota, the red earth is iron ore.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, if you get iron ore, dirt and stuff in your clothes, you'll never get it out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
ours is like a clay. It's literally like real mucky clay, and it just packs in their feet, and just it really helps, I think.
Yeah, I think it would too. Well, and see, that's a good idea. So like what I did, like at one time I had a soaking stand I built out of cinder blocks and railroad ties with like piece of plastic over it and in it, and then a piece of carpet, and then I'd fill it up with water. But now I got a place where I feed my horse his treat, which he gets 2 small flakes of alfalfa twice, one little bitty flake in the morning, one at night. So I just put that in there and then make a mud puddle. And so that's been working good as well too. But yeah, anything you can get to do moisture is awesome. So you have your work cut out for you, Leah.
I know. I'll see what I can do. What I managed to do this last time was just trim down the sole, so the wall to the sole level. Tried to take a bit of bar out, which was practically impossible, but at least, you know, the overgrowth that you see on the rim, on the next to the line, that, and I managed to bevel it. So at least he doesn't have that separation anymore.
Yeah.
To bevel the wall down, but it's true that I didn't touch the heels at all, and I think that I should trim them down a little bit because they're a bit long, and that is what you can see, you know, when you told me that was too much, that I should create the notch there. And let's see if I can manage to do something with the frog and the bars next time.
Okay.
If he lets me.
If he lets you. Hey now.
Leah,
You're the boss.
Leah,
Yes.
what kind of rasp do you use? Because I found a very, very good rasp for rock hard hoofs. It's from the company Hella that also Linda is using. It's a German company. And there are 2 different types. There's a black one and a red one. And they are pretty good for rasping rock hard hoofs.
Oh, Hella. Okay, yes, I can get that here. I'm using the Safe Edge one, the one that's extra wide. I think, Linda, we talked about that in one of the.
Yeah, but they don't work so good as the Hella, the red one.
Oh, yes, the Hella XL Legend. That's the one that I'm using.
Okay.
That one. That one's the one that I'm using.
Yeah, that's the one I got too. Except, is that the white one?
No, that's the blue or the green one. They have color codes, and you have to find the red one or the black one. The Black Master.
Black Master.
Yeah, that's also pretty good. The Black Master is good, and they have a red line too.
Huh.
There's a lighter red on the back, on the where you put the
handle.
The handle, thank you. The handle on. There's a lighter red, that one, and that works very, very well.
Man, that thing looks vicious. Look at that.
Okay.
because
No,
they have
I actually, we talked
I mean-
about the one that was extra wide on the Hoof chat, and I went and I bought it, which was the you know, the blue one, but I didn't know that it was a black one. It was better.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't
the
know it
red-
either.
the blue ones are for more softer horn because they are wider and the horn can fall out easier, and if they don't muddy or yeah. And the black and the red one are more closer together, so you have more efficiency.
Wow.
And
I
this
also
that
bought
works
a rasp, the Shinto rasp. It's like a Japanese rasp for wood, but
Yeah.
that actually works quite well because it's supposed to be similar to the Cody James rasp, but I can't get that here in Spain. But I managed to find that Shinto rasp is very narrow, but it does work quite well. I managed to get a lot out, and because it has the holes, it's easy to just knock on the floor, and you get rid of all the hoof debris. And,
so that the Cody James work for me also good, but the red one on rock hard hoofs is better.
Okay, well,
So
okay,
I have also the Cody James, and I use the Cody James more for normal or softer horn. But for the rock hard horn, I use the red one or the Black Master. They work very well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Simone. I'm going to look for that as soon as we stop the call because I really need it.
Well, I learned something. I didn't know they had two different kinds of rasps.
Which one's better, the red or the black?
They are both pretty good. The description is similar, the same. Just go ahead and try the red one.
The red one, okay.
Yeah, just try the red one. And they have also a green one. This is for very smooth and yeah, it's called, no, it's not the Legend. It's called Final, I don't know. It's for yeah, more or less for the last 2 centimeters or millimeters or 1 centimeter on the outer side.
Oh, you know what? You can see the difference. Do you see the picture there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
look at the little raspy things on this one. All right, now, watch this. Wait do you see the ones on the Soderberger? Holy Hannah. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a beast.
Look, that's a beast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't get your hand in the way of that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wear
And
gloves with that puppy.
the
That
very
is,
good in that,
whoa.
they are not so big as the beast from, the name is gone. They are easier to handle because they are not so heavy and not so wide, and yeah, easier
Oh,
to
that's
handle.
good. And they take a bigger bite.
Yeah, they take a very big bite.
Yeah, that's great. Just a couple of zoom, zoom, you're done. That's awesome. I'm going to see about getting one of these. Yeah, I had no idea. We'll see there.
This is what's great about the Hoof chats. We get great tips from everybody.
Oh, yeah, it's
all over the
awesome.
world too.
It's awesome. You know? Well, okay, so
Okay, well, thank you so much, Linda.
you're sure welcome. You're sure welcome.
And Simone, thank you too.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. So thank
I
you
just
so much.
appreciate everybody participating. Okay, does anybody else have anything I want to talk about, or feet they want to look at, or subject they want to approach?
Taking toes back would be a good thing to address sometime, but I don't know if you want to get into that now or some other day.
Taking toes back. Yeah, you know, I haven't had to do that for so long. And I'm thinking that more thought needs to be put into that than what I used to do, which was, you know, well, I can tell you that as my feet were changing every once in a while, everything would shift 1/4 inch, and I would take the toe back 1/4 inch, where I would, instead of beveling to the white line, I would actually, my mark would be almost 1/4 inch back, and I would bevel all that way back. But it only happened several times. And I haven't had to deal with a really long toe in a really long time. And I'm not so sure that the way I used to do it, that was the right way. So in where I stand on it right now is, I think, because every single thing I think I learned was wrong, that because a lot of stuff I learned on taking toes back was from the farrier tradition, those that take toes back. And so, or barefoot tradition, and that made a lot of horses sore. So I'm just not sure that that doesn't need some re-evaluation. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I hear.
like what would be the best process to do that for a horse that would be the easiest on him and still get the job done? When and where? You know, because you don't want to take toes back if you're going to push the coffin bone back too and just bend the foot more from the front, because we learned that could happen, you know. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. But like with you and Molly, just getting you to take it even back to the white line, like what you're doing now is better than you've ever done before, I think, from what I've seen of your trim.
Okay,
And I think that if you just stay consistent, that is going to help and make a difference.
okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. And right now we have a new farrier going to be starting at the barn. She's very much into supporting the back of the foot, growing heels, that type of thing.
Oh, good.
And I'd really like to turn it over to her, but I'm having a hard time letting go.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, you know, and stuff. Well, you know, maybe you could be around and watch exactly what she does on some other horses or something.
I watched one trim last week on a horse that she's been doing for quite some time. She's very quick, and I didn't have any problem per se with what she did, but she's so quick that I've got questions afterwards. But when she starts now at the barn, she's going to be having 15 or 16 horses to do.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll have a chance to watch.
How come they have a new farrier?
The farrier that we've had wasn't returning calls. It wasn't coming back and wasn't coming back. Got another farrier that came in, and 3 or 4 of the horses that he trimmed were sore. I didn't particularly care for the way he trimmed. The one that we're getting now wasn't technically taking new clients, but she's going to be doing the barn. So, and
Okay.
she's the one that I would have preferred to take, to have trimmed Dolly if I could get a farrier. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. I'd like to be done.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd like to be done too. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, and I'll give some more thought to that too, Marilyn, because you know
Okay, thanks.
it's a hard one. But see, we got to remember too. See, you got to remember stuff like the more the back of the foot gets straightened out, the more the toe will also straighten out. You know, because a lot of
Right.
times the reason the dorsal wall is running forward or your toe is seeming to be long is because all that anatomy is pushing into the back of the foot and up into the coffin joint, which is rotating that and the toe back, but pushing the hoof wall toe forward. Because most of Dolly's feet have a little dish in them too.
Yeah, they do.
You know, and that is from that. So, you know, getting more of the back of the foot corrected is also going to affect that. See, so that's a form of taking the toe back to where it's supposed to be. You know, I think that is more of an answer. You know, sometimes I forget different things that we've been learning during all this. You know what I mean? And then I'll go, oh, ding. You know, remember that? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. But yeah, you're trimming, you're trimming, you're trimming more, but not too much. I think you're doing just right.
Okay, great, thanks. And now with the shoes on, I won't be touching them probably for another 3-4 weeks. And then I have to decide if I'm gonna trim again or if I'm gonna have the new farrier trim. So
Yeah.
gotta think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big thought because I mean, she's advancing and doing well and, you know,
Yeah,
don't
and then
want
I'm looking at her hind feet and wondering if I've trimmed out too much periopal because I think it looks like they're trying to spool back inward, but I'm not sure. I have to go back and compare pictures from maybe last winter sometime and see what's
Yeah.
happening because I got a little carried away with the periopal. It looked really great. She had a wonderful central sulcus growing in there, and all of a sudden it's a little slit again. So I did something not probably too good.
you got a picture?
They're all posted on the on
Well, we're
Facebook.
here. So let's just go look. Let's see. I'm going to get me a little, probably drive everybody crazy though. I was going to say, I'm going to get me a little cool recording I can play while I'm looking for stuff of the Jeopardy thing. I thought that'd be good. Da, 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 da. Okay. All righty. Oh, somebody posted this. Please share. We transcend. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, yep. Is this old?
Well, that
Oh,
was that's
I,
me.
I guess you found it, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so I guess I can delete that. Let's see. Remove post. What rule did you break? No. Can you see what I'm doing here?
I can. Yes,
Okay.
I'm trying to be a good girl. I got spanked once, so I'm trying to be good.
When was that?
A week or so ago, I had shared something, and the next day I got a notice that I was restricted for 24 hours because I had broken their rules.
In our group?
No, Facebook in general.
Oh God.
I could
Oh.
comment on something, but I couldn't click like or anything like that.
Man, this was a heck of a deal here.
And
we don't know how it turned out.
I know.
How turn it out? I don't saw it.
Huh?
Because I saw the problem, but I don't saw how it turned out.
Yeah, I know. Nobody ever knew.
Okay.
Translation. Still don't understand. One rider fell with this horse on the first leg of the asphalt. Okay, let's see. Oh, what happened? The horses kept themselves calm. They knew each other and are from the same farm. Their owner is standing next to them. This accident happened when they were loose in a 90 to 100 horse drive with riders in front of the back of them. We are on 5-day trip in Iceland with approximately 130 horses. Oh, wow. And 40 people. We need to shoe our horses here. We are riding over rough terrain, lava rock. The group never experienced this and will probably never again. Hopefully this was a stress. It must have turned out okay. It would be really stressful. The moral of the story is always take tools with you, right? In case you want to pull a shoe or need to pull a shoe. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just rolling down here looking for Maryland. Ah, there you are. So this is the left front. Okay, let's see. Well, let's look at the left front anyway. Well, one good thing is is her bulbs are up off the ground, and her horn tubules are still, you know, forward. Now, I could see where you might take off a little more bar there.
Not for another month.
Not for another month. Okay, this area right here is the kicker. See this right here? Okay, if we were to, let's see if we can see one looking straight down. Well, not quite yet. What you're going to see is this whole area is going to be high. So the thing is to learn to take, even if you make, here, I was doing this the other day, trimming my horse, and it came down to where, at least on one side, like one side was pretty even all the way around. Like, let me do an annotation here. Just a minute here. Okay, so if we were to go over this way, all this here is going to be high. Like it's going to be sticking up. Like you're going to see the heel here, but then you're going to see this higher right there. And so you need to learn to take this area down more, even if it, but without taking this down. Without taking that down, you need to learn how to take at least all this here down, even if it creates a ledge. Okay, because a ledge is not going to hurt anything. I think, okay, this is a theory, because I've been seeing these horses that don't get trimmed by anybody with hooks in their heels. Has anybody ever seen that? Where the heel looks like a hook? I'll
Yes.
show you. Okay, so I thought, because on one side of my horse's foot, I can get it all down level, even without taking this part. I don't want to take any of this down here. Okay, but from about here over, okay, I want to be able to sight down the foot on this side, and I don't want to have it sticking up. Okay, I want this to be level from here into here. See, all of this is high, and because it's high, your horn tubules are stuck forward, because this is a hard area to trim, because the foot isn't right anyway. And so you do wind up having to take this lower sometimes than the actual heel buttress itself, because nothing's right anyway, you know. And so see, like, look over here, like, see where, let me get this, wait a minute. Okay, see where your heel level is here? Wait a minute, let me get bigger. Let's do this. See where your heel level is here? Okay, or here. So if we go over here, you see that sticking up there right here? Marilyn? Hello? Hello?
I see it now.
Oh, I see it.
I was looking for the button and it wasn't coming.
Oh, okay. Okay, and like this one here. You see it?
Right. Yep.
Okay. And so probably if we were to aim the foot down more, you'd see it even more like this.
Mm-hmm.
See? And so because this stays high and long, your horn tubules never have any room to come back.
Sure.
And so, and see, this is hard to, this is like pulling teeth to trim this for me sometimes, because I'm like, whoa, no, you know, but
I've been so worried about taking the heel down too much. I've been
Yeah.
maybe leaving too much. I put my thumb right on the corner, but I maybe even putting it a little too far over.
yeah. And so if you really aimed the foot down more and you were sighting down this side, you would see that it's high, that it's above the heel here and above the toe here. See that it's actually high. And so it's it's stopping you in your tracks there. Just a minute here. Okay, let's see. Let's go back and look at your horn tubules where you're stuck. Well, what's happening? Well, nothing's happening. No, it's just moving slow. Okay. Well, let me. Okay, see your horn tubules?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see how you're jammed up here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's never any room, even though you're beveling. Okay, and you could go ahead and bevel back to here too.
Okay.
Even though you're beveling, the wall has been too high, a little bit too high for so long that gradually it's all jammed up like this. I don't think this is a bend in the foot. You know how sometimes your hairline will be curved because the foot is bent. Might be a little bit of that, but I think most of it is this wall jamming up into here because of leaving this too high. And of course, when it jams up, then it looks level. You know, but when you turn the foot over, it's not level.
Right.
You know, so I do think you need to take that out back to here and then re-bevel. And that's going to give this room to move back. See, there's no place for any of this to go right now. And that's all going to keep your foot like this too. See, see how this is growing and pushing up into here. Now your bulb is bent under too, so that's part of it. But part of it is also leaving this too high in here. And it's just slowly jammed and pushed all this up. So there's just no place for anything to go.
Okay. It's probably the same thing on the hind feet.
Yeah. Let's do you have some pictures of the hind feet on here too? Okay, let's look at those.
Probably a day or so before these.
Okay. I should have just, let's see. Over here, search. Here we go.
That'd be the quickest way.
Yeah. Okay, here's the left hind.
Yep, those are the most recent pictures.
Okay. See, it wants to break out.
Mm-hmm.
There. Got this thing.
This is before the trim. There's pictures on the 28th that I trimmed.
Okay. I'm just gonna look here. Oh, yep. See, I can tell. Even here. See that shape of that there? That's why that wood finally broke out. It's saying, hey,
let me out of here.
Let me out of here. Yep. See it now?
Yep.
See, but when it's in your hand, you don't see this.
No.
Okay. That the only reason I see it is because I would look at pictures of Valor's feet and I would think about that, you know, because in my hand, I don't necessarily see it, but now I'm getting, so I aim that foot down and I'm viewing from here down the side of the foot, kind of to the toe, but the side of the foot. So I'm seeing if all this is high.
I was kind of seeing it, but I was scared to take off too much and end up hitting the heel itself, which I didn't want to do.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but I think you can safely do that, and I think it'll help straighten her foot up. See, because the heel wants to. The heel can't come back. The heel tubules can't come back unless these kick them back.
And you can see how the heel has been just folded over too. Yeah, there's pictures from the 28th when I trimmed.
Okay, let's go find those. $24.
It might be higher than that. Scroll up to the top. Those are old.
Okay. This is the, oh, wait. That's the only one I can find from the 23rd.
Because I have them on my phone. I'm looking at them right now. That I posted on, what, 3 days ago, the 28th.
I don't
I
think that, just from looking at this, it doesn't look to me like you've overdone periopal and that the bulbs are contracting.
Take that back. 24th is when I trimmed her hinds.
Oh, okay. So the day
July.
after this, day after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't see a problem here.
Okay.
What you were talking about at all.
Okay.
You know, this is it opening up actually. See?
Okay.
Okay. See, this is all.
It looks all closed in now.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does that. It does that. You know, it opens and closes. That's why it was
Okay.
called the frog curtain. Only it wasn't frog, it was periopal.
Yeah.
And he would have been glad to know that. See, because that's the kind of person he was. So okay, let's see. Well, that's all I see there.
Okay.
Is that you know, because I'm telling you, this area is a hard place to trim.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially since we're kind of anti-scoopers.
Right.
I have been, you know, but I was thinking the other day, I was trimming Valor and I thought, you know, I don't think there's nothing wrong with making kind of a hook on his heel here, because I remember seeing hooks on heels. Like, let me show you here.
If you could find the pictures from the 24th and tell me if I need to do a little bit more before her shoes come, because I'm going to slap shoes on for those too.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
here we go.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, we'll do that.
That's when I trimmed.
Okay. Okay, like see how you left a little hook there? See, this looks pretty good.
I think you've got your thing expanded. I can't see the bottom of the foot.
Oh, what expanded? You can't see the bottom of the foot. Oh, I'll save the image. Okay, see it now? Oh, wait,
Nope.
wait. There you go.
There we go.
Okay. So see how you came around here, but see how these heels are forward. So you've got a bend here a little bit.
Mhm.
This foot is looking really good.
Okay.
I think this is the best I've ever seen this foot look.
Oh, wow. And I
And
was thinking that the heel looked lower, and I was wondering what I had been doing wrong. And
oh my God, no. Yeah, no, it looks great. Look at the nice elevation. Oh my goodness. Look at the cartilage. This is the best I've ever seen any one of her feet look like ever.
Oh my goodness, that makes me feel good.
It makes me feel good too. Because if you fail, I fail. Okay.
It's been a journey.
So oh wait, I'm not in there. That is wonderful. Yeah, that is looking really good. Yeah. Okay.
Do I need to take that little chunk of heel off on that one too?
Maybe. Yeah. I think this is a little high right here. You could
Can you
take it
look at
right
the
down
solar-
to there. Here.
Look at the solar pictures and
Okay. Just a minute here. New share. Okay. See, this is the medial. They look great. They're doing good. Now this one is more bound. You see it?
right. Mm-hmm.
And stuff. That's interesting how pulled around that heel is, but it's still looking good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this foot is like looking fabulous.
And that's just the other side of the same foot.
Yeah, isn't that something? See, because their heels are independent.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see which. I want to go back and look at something. Medial. is more bound. Lateral is coming unbound. Good. So medial is more bound and lateral is coming around good. Okay. And you see this little poochy area here?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know you're getting a frog stay.
Oh, good.
Okay. Feel, if you take your thumb and you put in here and your forefinger, and you will feel it in there. Okay, so I keep forgetting. Medial is the more bound. Okay. Medial is the more bound. And so is it pulling or what's going on? I'm not sure. I'm confused.
You're confused.
Okay. I would take these bars down
Okay.
more when I would come clear down into here and take
Okay.
these bars down more. Okay, since you're gonna
When
have
I've done
shoes
that,
on
when
a
I've done
little-
that in the past, her heel folds over even farther.
Does it? Okay, well,
Yeah.
if you don't want to do it and you feel like it's going to do that, you don't have to. But I would at least make this straight instead of curved like that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, look here. We're talking about the medial heel being more bound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look here at the periopal, the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think you could take off some of this periopal in here more. Because look at it over here. I think this is binding this foot right in here.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's what's binding that bulb there.
Linda, can I just mention something? Maybe it will help.
Sure.
Also, because if you look at the shape of the frog and how the frog is trimmed, right?
Mhm.
And I experienced with my horses, I know it's difficult sometimes because the frog is also deformed in a
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
But I always try to kind of with the angle when I trim the frog, say on the left side, right, on the more contracted, I will always try to go towards more not a steeper angle, but like a bigger angle, so more dirt or earth can go into the between the I just forgot, not central, south,
The collateral groove.
yeah, collateral groove, and will create, in terms of physics, a bigger push on the bar.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's just, I always think that way, and it kind of works. And it's all about creating a little bit more of an angle in the sole also, like just thinking how much stuff can get in on one side into the hoof when it gets packed, and how much gets on another.
Okay.
Right?
Like
That makes
support,
So in
sense.
that sense.
like support and helping with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because then it will create a bigger kind of expansion. The force, the bigger force to expand that heel. It will be more loaded from the inside where the frog is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm doing Valor. Because I would like his medial sides to expand more, where I'm wanting his lateral side to come in more. And
because
of course,
I always think in terms of the force that is applied on the parts of the hoof when the hoof lands and where the dirt is being shoveled. So if you create a bigger angle or more steeper angle, if the angle of the frog and the bar is more steep, it just gets packed, but it doesn't create the side pressure to the frog and to the bar. Whereas on the other side, which is more open, it will always create more pressure and will be pushing the bar more. So my way of thinking is to create more steeper angle on the side where we have the keel going out more, and create more angle in terms of the frog and, you know, the side pressure, right? Do you
I see
understand what
you're
I'm
saying.
talking about?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just thinking in terms not of the forces that will be applied by the packed dirt.
That makes sense. That's great.
Yeah.
So when I put the shoes on, it'd be a good idea to put DIM in there too, dental impression material.
Oh, absolute, I think.
I didn't want to do that on the fronts because I'd never done these shoes before, and I didn't know if I could learn two new things at the same time.
Oh,
I've never done the dental impression stuff either.
the worst that could happen is it falls out,
True,
you know?
true.
Hey, well, thank you for that tip. That's awesome.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so you see how you're gonna have to do something with this periopal to lighten it up so this will release this bulb.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Plus, I'm sure this heel is somewhat trimmed out more, you know.
And the other girls, I'm sorry, it's also when you trim the central sulcus, like look on this picture, on the right side, she has a steeper angle on the contracted side and the bigger angle of the central sulcus on the more open side. So she needs, you just need to change, because it might be thinner on the left side, you know, if we look at the picture on more contracted side, but in your mind, you always try to lean towards creating like more open angle, because then it will be pushing the frog more, you see?
Yeah.
Because at the moment, by trimming the frog in the way you trim, you encourage the opening of the right heel and the closure of the left.
See,
Right.
that makes perfect sense too, you know, and stuff, because even getting, you know, the central sulcus open just a little bit more, like right in
It will
here.
all add up, basically.
Yeah, it all adds up, all the little things. See, it's the little
So
things
maybe
that
if you
add up.
just pay attention to the angles and change the angle, you know, like you trim the right, like you trim the left, then you understand. Then maybe you will have some, you know, something different going on. It will all add up.
Yeah, another thing too is because this side is wider, like, yeah, because we do map the frogs as well. You know, always forget to tell people about that you have to map the frog.
And
So,
it's
like,
also how we keep, because it's the medial side that is more steep, is just how we hold the knife. Because
yeah,
when we trim the lateral, the angle is bigger. We just need to pay attention to it.
yeah, exactly. See, like, just a minute here. Okay, so if you're to map the frog so that they're both the same, okay, you see how you have this in here? Okay, and then this one, it's this more in here. It's just, they're just different shapes, but you kind of got still some frog that you could trim out in here and periopal in here. I don't think that's gonna hurt at all. And yeah, trying to get everything to open up, like she was saying, in the different forces. Yeah, I would definitely clean up my frogs real good if you're going to put shoes on, because then that'll give them a, you know, not like totally like strip them out or nothing, but definitely refine them more, and especially in here. But yeah, see, you're getting good frogs. I think you are getting frog stay. It's starting to push up the foot.
Okay.
And, okay, let's go back here. Wait a minute.
I was thinking the heels are barely a quarter inch above the sole, and I was wondering if the sole is building up. The heels have lost 1/8 of an inch in the past month to 6 weeks. So they're just wearing out.
Well, look at where you're marking here. Are you marking right there?
That was just the line. I measured to the hairline. That was just my guideline.
Okay, so you're measuring to here.
Right.
Okay.
I was
and
measuring to
that's-
the hairline on both sides.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because it also looks like your bulbs are wanting to expand a little there.
Okay.
Because if your frog stay is growing in there internally, it's pushing up on this foot. See?
Mhm.
And so you see that just looks like it's a little bit of stretched skin there. So this can, some of this can be kind of thinned and trimmed out.
So if I thin that out and open up the exits a little bit, will that help the foot to expand then?
I do believe so.
Okay.
And I would try and use DIM. It wouldn't hurt
Yeah,
at all.
that's what my thought.
Yeah.
I would use DIM on that hoof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have some. I have some. I just didn't quite know what to do with it, so I didn't.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, you just put it over the frog and it'll take the shape of the frog and that'll basically keep it in there, But if you're going to shoe her, you can take out more than you normally would
Mm-hmm.
and stuff because she's going to have the protection of the shoe
Right.
and then the support of the frog. But it's looking really good. There's a lot of improvement. Here's this is the right hind.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that foot don't look bad at all. See, and all your feet are looking better. They're not as flared in the toe as they were.
Uh-huh.
They're all looking better.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's such a relief for me.
Now on these, do I need to take off that little hook of the heel like we talked about on the fronts?
Well,
Right there.
this isn't too bad.
Okay.
If this is real high, if once you aim the foot down more, okay. But let's go back here and look at this. See how they're breaking out?
Right.
That's pretty cool. Because they're kind of doing it on their own, aren't they?
Right. And that was only like 2.5 weeks since a trim.
Wow. Well, see, and that shows me too that the foot is improving and getting better because as the foot improves, it starts to take care of its own self better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this is the frog. This is the frog that had peeled all those weird layers and had tunneling underneath it and all that stuff. And look at it now.
Yeah, it's looking really good. See now I look at this trim, okay, and then I go to some of these pages where they say, "Oh, my farrier just trimmed the horse," and that's the most horrible, god awful looking thing you ever seen. I mean, it was like, what did he even do?
Mm-hmm.
The bars are all over the bottom of the foot. It just looks like garbage. Yeah. Okay. Now here you can see it. See it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's wanting to break out. So
Maybe take those little corners off.
Yeah, I think you have a tendency on this side to leave higher.
Okay.
It just looks kind of like it to me. See, and even here you can kind of see it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, that has to come down or it's just going to hold everything forward. Well,
Mm-hmm.
of course it's breaking out, so that's kind of helping it, but see, ultimately, you see the way this is curved?
Mm-hmm.
You want that to be gone.
Right.
Eventually.
Linda, may
Yeah.
I ask you something?
Sure.
Do you say, would you trim more out of the bars? Or would you say you just leave it like?
Me personally, if I was going to, I would,
That's on the lateral side.
I would define this more. because yeah, and this like chunk here, okay, this can create a pressure spot on
Okay.
the inside of the foot. And yeah, I would define this bar especially more.
And maybe it would help if Marilyn would follow the white line to the seed of corn to
Yeah,
help them.
except for right here. Oh,
Yeah,
you
to
mean
help to
on the
help them out.
bar?
On the bar and outside,
Okay.
just to clean out the seed of corn. Find the white line and set the heels a little bit more back.
Well, see, she needs to grow her heels back in.
Yeah, not down. Just follow the white line and clean the white line out.
Oh,
Yeah.
in here a little bit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. In the seed of corn, I would do it. I would
do the same actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I would follow the white line with the knife. On the same niveau as the sole is, and would go backwards, but not downwards.
So you're talking about cleaning out the seed of the corn?
Yeah, I'm just talking about just cleaning up seed of the corn. Yeah.
You mean just on the white line and the seed of corn?
Yeah, just on the white line.
Okay.
Not on the heels.
Okay.
So not on the horn, just on the matching point from the sole to the white line.
Okay, but what I'm going to ask is, what about the fact that this isn't the true seed of the corn? Okay.
Yeah, it's not the true seed of the corn.
Yeah, and
it's all curled in.
and I'm also going to ask about what about the fact there's no support there anyway.
Right. There's
Yeah.
no sole built up to support the
There's no
heel.
sole built up there to support the heel. See, this is one of those catch-22 things too to me.
Well, I just wouldn't do it if I have the DIM.
Okay. Oh, okay. Never mind.
So it depends if you use DIM.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Thank you for adding that. Right.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah. Get that out of there.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
To me too. Okay. So that was pretty cool deal we just went through there. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You see why there's all this stuff you got to remember?
Yep.
And stuff that was cool. Thank you there.
And then I get to the bar and I've got the foot in my hand and it's like, oh my goodness, what do I do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, just like I was saying, take that bar over and down. Well, yeah. Okay. And she said, well, yeah, but whenever I've done that, the heels seem to have gone forward, right?
Yep, they fold right over.
And stuff. Okay. But this is a different case because you're going to take the bar out and the other part, because I think that way on the other part. If I take that out, the heel's going to go forward. See, I'm that way with that. All right. And so, but here's the difference. DIM.
Yep.
Okay. That's okay. There. Now we have all come to a better understanding. That's awesome.
So when I do the DIM, then I need to do a big enough wad to cover the frog, the collateral grooves, and the seed of corn.
Yeah.
Fill up the whole back of the foot.
Yeah.
I would do
the shoe has a wedge that goes up over the frog, covers about half of the frog. You've seen the bottoms, Linda, the pictures.
Yeah. And you can make it so it like when I do it anyway, I'll make it so it thins out like,
Right.
and goes clear into here,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, there we go. See why more than one head is better than thinking here. Because I just have to tell you, sometimes I'm looking at them and I'm going, well, do I rob Peter to pay Paul here?
Mm-hmm.
Because in this corrective trimming, there are many catch-22s. There are many, well, I can do this, but is this going to happen? And what do I need to keep this going? And should I take this off now or wait till here? Or, so we're all just,
Linda, I just wanted to say in terms of the collapsed heels, I have, this 4-year-old stallion, and when I started to trim him, what happened, he had contracted feet, but he had what looked like a decent heel and a decent alignment of the tubules. So when I started to trim him with TACT, and what happened is his heels went under. You see, he became his heels ran forward, but then I persisted and he lifted up.
Okay.
So it also could be like a stage where the hoof is changing, but he's expanded tremendously the back of the foot.
Okay.
So I think sometimes this collapse of the tubules and heels is just a stage.
Okay. So not to be always getting freaked out about it.
I think it depends on what kind of surface the horse is, because mine went without the shoes because we have sand.
Yeah.
You see, and I'm always like, on this foot, the seat of corn looks very dirty. And what can happen with this is that it can go and start, affecting the connection with the white line, and it can go under the heel. It can really do bad stuff. So I would really concentrate on keeping it clean and restoring the healthy connection. So if she takes us a bit more, it will come, I think, later when the heel will grow up.
Well,
the real heel. But without cleaning the dead stuff, as you said, and setting it gradually back through cleaning the white line and defining all the boundaries, you're just growing the healthy tissue. And if you don't get rid of the debris, the healthy tissue will not grow, and bacteria will be stuck there, destroying what you're growing base as you're growing it.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
See,
I agree.
Like I would remove it's like sacrifice, but he doesn't have heels. It's just the wall, like on the left side. I would just take my loop knife or whatever knife, and I will go and take a little bit of that false heel wall, so it doesn't hang over the seat of corn, because it looks like it's hanging over.
Yeah, I have a bonsai nipper that I nip off anything that's folded over.
Yeah, okay. It's just a picture, so
right.
We're just talking about this one. But I would just try to always head towards keeping the tissues as clean as possible.
Yeah, and I can do that, but there's usually mud right around the stock tank, which is fine. They get their feet wet, so I can clean it out and turn her out in the pasture, and 10 minutes later it's going to be packed full of mud.
Yeah, but it's clean mud, and you removed the dead
true.
That's funny.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, he's not standing in the manure.
No.
The clean mud is good.
Clean mud is good. And don't forget to see this lump here.
Yeah.
Okay, that has to come out of there.
Okay. I looked at that, and I heard you saying that needs to come out, and I looked and I thought, once I take it out, I can't put it back. So I questioned it.
Well, I'll show you why. Just a minute, if I can find it, I gotta think of where it would be. Okay. I don't have my camera on. It doesn't work anymore. I have a foot that ultimately was founded, but there was when anything that isn't there and it builds up and you get a big lump, it can create a sore underneath in the foot, pushing up into the sole corium, and it can actually tear open the sole corium and then create an abscess that will blow out the top.
Wow.
Yeah, they're horrible. And so that's why this chunk here, this chunk has to come out of here. It's not supposed to be there. It's not bar. It's just old soul grown up and chunked in there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it absolutely has to come out. See, look at this side.
Mm-hmm.
See how nice and smooth it is? And then you got this big chunk here. I don't think I can find the picture. If I do, I'll send it to you. It's on a dissection I did where there was a hole literally in the sole corium because there was a big chunk on the hoof capsule under the foot. But I don't know where my pictures are of that. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I just don't recall. So anyway, yeah, it creates a pressure spot on the sole corium. So anyway, okay. Hey, thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, Marilyn, this is Terry.
Hi.
Hey, we talked about those octo shoes and that lump she's talking about. This has been great for me because her feet are so many of these things are like what I deal with Sky. And we put the octo shoes on. We were very sure to take those kind of lumps down and the bars stuff, because when I took the octos off, that bars and things like that just grew like crazy. It's just crazy how much you get. And I'm just gonna say, so yeah, definitely take all that stuff down. You can be a little more aggressive before you put those shoes on. Okay, for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I don't put DIM under mine. I haven't yet. I know some people don't. My mare, Sky, she cannot handle a lot of frog pressure. She has such huge frogs anyway. And I've got the softest DIM, and she doesn't like it. So I'd be real careful with that.
Yeah, I have the medium.
The shoes are really flexible, and it's like they can sink down into them, and then mud and stuff gets under there too, but that for me the DIM would help keep rocks and stuff out too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that, Terry.
Yeah, thank you.
See, anybody sharing stuff like that helps give you confidence. See, I know that Marilyn is cautious about taking stuff off.
Yeah, me too.
Usually.
And to whereas I am like sometimes too confident, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like kind of a happy medium in there.
Yeah, and my farrier would always tell me, "Oh, that's a callus. You need to leave that. It's a callus, and if you take that off, stuff like that, And so I've just been scared to death. I was scared to death to trim a frog. He's had me terrified to do anything, and she got so sore when he did what he did. I was like, "Well, I'm not making her crippled." So,
yeah, no kidding.
I've made Dolly sore more than once myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my horse as well. Not for a long time. Knock on wood. But I mean, because he's to a place now to where I do these maintenance trims, and it's like nothing. Everything's going good. He's still got some issues here and there, but nothing. I mean, nothing ever makes him sore anymore. So I'm very thankful for that. It hasn't for a long, long time. So.
I'm waiting. I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, all this stuff, this is not the easiest thing to do or learn or, but one thing about it, everything, at least we're not going in the opposite direction. Many people are improving, getting some good testimonies and things like that. So we're okay.
Yeah, today's been great for me because the little 2-year-old, those feet were exactly like my 2-year-old. And this one is exactly like Sky. I've got another horse. I've got 3 horses that of so many different horses that are at different stages. And it's
yeah, I'm glad I just have one.
Well, Well, okay, guys. I guess we're done. Does anybody
Thank
got
you,
anything
thank you,
else?
thank you.
Okay, well,
Thank you,
all
everybody. I'm
for
going to sleep.
thanks for being diehards.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Linda.
Thank
Okay,
you,
you guys.
everybody. Good
Everybody
night
take
or good
care.
day.
You too. Have a great week,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
you
you.
Bye,
too.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.